Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us for the June 1st, 2020 council meeting. We have Councilman Borman, Councilman Phillips, and Councilwoman Harris via Zoom and via telephone. And Councilman Nern and Councilman Corbett are joining me here along with our town administrator. First up, we'll do our amendment and approval of the draft agenda. Do I have any questions or anything there? Mr. Nern, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Borman, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Mr. Phillips?
No, I don't have anything.
Mrs. Harris?
No.
Okay. That being said, do I have a motion?
I move we accept the agenda as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Nern, you all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Borman?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the general council discussion. Anyone got anything that they would like to add or start with? Go ahead, Councilman Corbett.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that the Committee to Honor American Veterans prior to Memorial Day placed U.S. flags in the traffic circle. The committee plans to keep the flags up through the June 14th Flag Day and then continuing up to the 4th of July holiday, weather permitting.
Okay. Mr. Borman, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Mr. Phillips?
No, thank you, sir.
Mrs. Harris?
No.
Mr. Nern?
Yeah,
Go ahead, sir.
I've got one thing. I want to again thank the staff for the work they've done on this budget. To me, especially sort of getting knocked in the teeth right when they're in the middle of it by this Chinese virus. And I want to point out to you, if you hadn't seen it online, our packet, page 24, which was prepared by Ms. Tara Drop, our finance director, gives the best explanation I've ever seen of where our money comes from and where it goes. I'm very glad to see this, and I want to say thank you.
Anything else, sir?
That's it.
All right. Moving along, we're going to go to the public hearing for the 2020-2021 proposed draft budget. Do I have a motion that we open it up?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris?
Aye.
Councilman Borman?
Aye.
And Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
Okay. First off, Hiram, do we have anybody in the back that would like to speak for this?
I'll ask real quick.
Okay. Nobody in the back. Okay, we have a couple of mail-in that I'll be reading at this time. Bear with me just a second. First up from Mr. Rich Serrato on Shoreline Drive. According to the Beacon, in financial year 21, the county is expecting a 27% decrease in revenues due to the pandemic. The Star News has also reported the state revenues could decrease by 30 to 35%. On the other hand, the FY21 Sunset Beach revenue budget dated May the 4th indicates that the FY21 revenue budget will decrease by only $57,867, or less than 1% when compared to the recent May the 4th revenue estimates. In the financial year of 20, it was $6,920,797. In the financial year 21, it's looking at $6,862,930. The variance is equal to $57,867. Would someone please explain to the taxpayers why the council, unlike the county or state, is so optimistic achieving the town's revenue goal during this pandemic? What data did the council use to make the $6,862,930 prediction? Or is it just to submit an unrealistic balanced budget because it is required by state law? Do you have a contingent plan in the probable event that expenses will exceed revenues? If so, what is it? Will it be to defund the failed dredging program, Will the council use our reserves, or is the council hoping for an expense budget surplus after claiming the $6.9 million expense budget is a bare bones budget and that further expense reductions will negatively impact taxpayer services without any detailed or formal analysis? Also, please do not include the unnecessary expenditures it initially proposed that were equivalent to a 4-cent tax increase as expenses cuts and savings. It is misleading. Financial management is about choices, accountability, and taxpayers' right to know. Please do not blame the state or the county for the anticipated revenue shortfall. They have already warned you. Thank you, Rich Serrato. And the next one will be read in is from Miss Laura Ramsey. The address is 409 Water Oak Wind Southwest, Sunset Beach. I want to express my concern over the draft town budget for the 2021. After reviewing it several times, I have come to the place the budget feels disconnected from the needs and priorities of our community, especially given the current circumstances due to COVID-19. My questions and concerns. Is the proposed budget able to be supported by the reduced revenue due to limited business activity from COVID-19 closures, or will increases in tax be required to meet the budgetary items? What is the measure that indicates town employees should be given salary increases, bonus pay? In reviewing their current salary schedule and comparing it to other towns of similar size in local areas as well as across North Carolina, many of their salaries are well above the average. It feels tone deaf to increase salaries and pay budgets at the town level when so many small businesses and working citizens are struggling and have been or continue to be without pay. Why do we need more fire and safety personnel? Is there an increased crime rate that is not being discussed? Is their time best used sitting in parking lots? Would community presence patrolling not serve a greater purpose? Is now the time to improve relationships rather than to sit and wait for a minor infraction and appear to be waiting on the big gotcha? With a proposed budget to increase fire and police funding, even though we are overrepresented in both departments by comparison to other communities, seems irresponsible. The beach and its infrastructure should take a higher priority. Most everyone in Sunset Beach, mainlanders, islanders, part-timers, full-timers, residents, and tourists are here for the beach. There are so many walkways in despair with rotting wood, nails that are pulled up, loose rails, and considerable overgrowth. Should a regular schedule for repair and reconstruction not take priority? Would this not protect us from litigation, from injury? This is how we represent ourselves to the tourists who are such a vital part of our revenue stream. There are inconsistent, outdated rules posted on the beach, making it difficult for tourists and residents alike to have a clear understanding of how to behave. I watched one beach patrolman direct 4 different families to move their baby tents to the cabana line while completely ignoring groups in close proximity drinking from glass bottles. I have talked with 2 different beach patrolmen, and their attitudes seemed to be lackluster at best. One told me no one had ever told him that glass wasn't allowed on the beach, and another said he doesn't worry himself with things like that. Is there appropriate oversight training of the beach patrol? I love seeing past beach patrol help children fill their holes, stop and chat with visitors, and if tents are needed to be moved, help with the transfer. That is the image of Sunset Beach, and we are losing sight of that. I know there are so many issues and perspectives that I do not clearly understand clearly, and do not have all the necessary information on, but given what has been shared and my experiences as a resident and an annual tourist prior to that, there are some of my concerns. I walk with the Turtle Patrol, teach in an elementary school, and have friends who represent all levels of Sunset, full-time, part-time, island, mainland, tourist. And my concern are representative of the concerns of so many of the people that I talk with. Few will take the time to write because they do not feel the council really hears their concerns, and that members are more concerned with promoting their individual agendas. That alone should be seen as a top priority concern for all elected and salaried town officials. In my interactions with you, I felt that you have heard the concerns being brought to your attention. It has been concerning to watch recent town meetings and see the council members have done very little homework prior to the meeting and were relying on I think, I feel, I believe statements rather than informed decision making. I hope that you will consider the information above. Thank you for taking the time for my concern. Mrs. Lauren Ramsey. Thank you. And that is both of the ones that were sent into the public comments. So from there, we'll be moving on into the budget. Administrator?
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
I need a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris,
Aye.
Councilman Borman,
Aye.
and Councilman Phillips.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Our next is the minutes for approval from our May the 19th, 2020 second regular scheduled meeting. Anybody have any questions in anything there?
I don't have any changes.
You have
Nothing.
anything? Mrs. Harris, you have anything?
No.
Mr. Phillips?
Nope.
Mr. Borman?
Nothing for me.
Okay, with that being said, do I have a motion that we accept these minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Mayor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
And Mr. Borman?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is our public comments on agenda items only. If you'll see if anybody's from the back, I have a couple here that I'll read after they get finished. Check and see if anyone back there.
Cindy's gone back there,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Do you think we do have someone back there for
I know there's
some of these?
people back there.
Okay. Okay. Please come up to the mic. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Couldn't see you.
You can't
Apologize.
tell with masks on. I'm
But,
going to take it off so I can talk. if
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
okay.
Please state your name and your address. And if your speech or your issues run long, with about 30 seconds left, I'll just speak in to let you know you have about 30 so you can tie it off.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think they'll be that long. My name
Okay.
is Candace Sieben. I live at 611 Lakeshore Drive in Sunset Beach. I love living here. I want to make some comments about the pet regulations for the beach, but before I do, can I please say I'm a family physician, and I am so grateful that the council took time to look at our safety and to go slowly as you reopen everything. All my patients, many of them are in the high-risk age group, and we are all grateful to you. The other is, you just finished the budget, and I know these are comments for the end, but we appreciate, in our neighborhood, we really appreciate the police and the fire department being so accessible, and they're very kind when they come. When I look at these demonstrations going on around the country right now, thank God that our police department and our fire department aren't like these other areas. What I wanted to say about the pets is just, I have dogs and I like to take them to the beach. I feel really cheated this year because as the weather finally got better and good enough to go, that we couldn't go to the beach because of the COVID virus. But I'd really like to see the hours extended a little bit. If we could stay even 1 hour later, instead of leaving at 8 in the morning, leave at 9, or go out at 5, you know, in the evening, that would be really helpful. So many of us exercise that way. I don't mind getting up and going early, but it's sometimes really hard to get off the beach by 8 a.m.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, that's all. Thank you,
Okay,
though, for
thank you
hearing
so
me.
much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If there's anybody else back there you don't think so, double check for me, please. Do we have somebody here that would like to? Okay, yes, ma'am.
Karen Joseph, 915 Sandpiper Bay Drive. I would just like to commend our finance department and our council on the budget that they created. These are very difficult times. We don't know how our accommodations money is going to be. I think you've done a very good job. And as far as our employees, they deserve every dollar they get, if not more. They are hardworking people who care about this town and the people who live here. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sendai, will you double check for me, make sure nobody else needs to speak there, please? Okay. Moving on to that, I'm going to read the ones that have been sent in through our public comments access through our town. First up is from Miss Gina Young at 432 Sailfish Street. Please restore beach access to two-way. One-way was a good plan to help reopen the beach safely, but has now served its purpose. The walkways that have many stairs are very difficult for older people and folks with wagons, bikes, and strollers, and many people are just ignoring the directional signs anyway. We have completely respected the rules in place, but would like to see full access restored now. Thank you, Gina Young. Next up is, I think I'm saying this right, Cecilia Hooper of, I don't see the address on here. Maybe we missed this one. But I know you will receive criticism for this at the meeting tonight, but many of us who are older appreciate that you are following CDC guidelines and helping us maintain social distancing. I know some are inconvinced that the access means a little more walking, but this is great for health. I hope that you will move on to more important things, and thanks for the bike pass. Miss Cecilia Hooper. Cecilia Hooper. Next up is Kevin Godwin, 1561 White Oak Drive, Ocean Isle Beach, NC. During your last meeting, you instituted a new rule of one-way accesses. This serves no general purpose to the public as a whole. I have heard many of you over the weeks speak of data, numbers, science regarding the virus, but there is no data, science, or numbers regarding any open-air public beach access. I can appreciate your willingness to want to dampen down the potential as much as possible, but sometimes common sense literally must prevail. Excuse me. The rule of one-way accesses has only created more division among town residents and vacationers, which, by the way, I'd venture to say more than half do not obey the one-way accesses. It's a silly rule and completely unenforceable. Instituting a one-way access seems as though it is the right thing to do, but you have to stop and ask yourself, is it? There is no more risk of going both ways as compared to being behind a group or us all walking in the same direction for the full length of the walkway than briefly passing people on a few seconds versus much longer following people. Please take a step back and do away with this. It absolutely serves no purpose but to create more of a burden of those whom already have difficulty in walking and having to walk just one long access but then are expected to walk even further along the soft sand and potentially walk back on another access with even more steps and rise than the one they came down. Your last meeting was scary, and a few of you even speaking of requiring face masks citywide. Please don't make yourself into the councils of the past. Lead, but show leadership through wise decision making. And that's Mr. Kevin Godwin. Next up is Kelly Sullivan, 147 Bellwood Circle in Sunset. Please help me understand why the directional rules for access to the beach is not enforced. While walking on the beach this afternoon, I was passed by 3 different groups of people going off the beach, 10 people total. I tactfully advised each of them they were not following town access requirements, and they just kept going. I asked Beach Patrol if they were not monitoring egress, and were told, no ma'am, we don't do that. Why on earth did we make an effort to enact the ordinance guidance and produce and erect signage if it is not being enforced? This is ridiculous. Brunswick County's positive COVID-19 test results continue to rise 15% over the last 3-day period that ended yesterday, and yet we are not enforcing rules that were created to keep residents and visitors safe. It just doesn't make sense. Thank you for your time. Kelly Sullivan. Next is Vicki Harper, 806 Colony Place, Sunset Beach. Thank you for considering expanding the summer hours that dogs are allowed to be on the beach. Modifying the time frame will provide for more opportunities for exercise for residents and visitors. I strongly support the change, and again, thank you for making the suggestion. Keep doing good things. And that is Vicki Harper. And the last one that I have is Mark and Carol Kramer of 902 North Shore Drive, Sunset Beach. We reside at 902 Sunset Beach. We understand that Councilman Borman is proposing to modify the current limitations on pets on the strand, and it gives the sub for that, for ordinance, for the summer from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and to 9 p.m. and 5 p.m., changing it from 8 to 9 in the mornings and 5 to 6 at night. Or they've got it wrong on here. But anyway, 6 to 5. We are both strongly in favor of the proposal to allow 1 more hour for pets on the strand in both the morning and late afternoon. This would greatly facilitate our schedule and be a major convenience for those of us on the island and the mainland who enjoy walking our pets on the strand and letting them play and swim each day. Thank you for your consideration, and we very much hope the change is adopted. All our best, the Kramers. And that was the last one I have for our public comments. So we'll be moving on next. It'll be our town administrator report. Mr. Marziano.
Yes, sir. Thank you. In brief, I'll start with the summer trash/recycling collection began a few weeks ago. So far, there's not been any known issues, which is nice for a change. The county has made access to some of the CARES Act money now, the Coronavirus Relief Fund money from the federal government given to the states, given to the counties. We did apply last week. Yes, last week. And unfortunately, they've gotten new guidance from the state and federal government on how this money should be spent. So the application still stands, but they're going back to review what can and cannot qualify, and then they're going to get back to us. So we're still waiting on some communication from them, and they've been given an extended deadline. Their original deadline was today to get back to the state. They've been given a 2-week extension. So I expect to hear something this week on our applications to the county. Falling short of that, all of our expenses should still qualify for FEMA reimbursement. Just got to look and see if they've changed the thresholds for that to see the amount of money, the minimum amount of money that qualifies. So regardless, we should see some type of reimbursement from some type of agency. It's just a matter of timing and how long that takes. With FEMA, our experiences are it could be a several-year process. With dredging news, we're getting a lot of questions. A lot of people are getting antsy. We are still in the same boat we were the last time that Mr. Neal spoke, and that is finding out exactly where we can place the beach-compatible sand. They've inquired to the state on a new option. They're waiting for a legal opinion, and they were hoping to hear something last week, but since he didn't get back in touch with me, I'm assuming that they also didn't get in touch with them. I'll be calling him later this week to get another update. I do have a list of all the avenues that they've looked at for this sand. I'll be sending that out to the council in my weekly report this week. But it's brief, but there are multiple options, and some of them just didn't pan out. Some of them may still possibly pan out. We're looking at multiple angles to get rid of that sand, and that's our holdup for applying to the Corps. Is we need to know what we're doing with that sand before we can apply to the Corps. So hopefully that'll still be this month that we get that application out. That's the last bit of detail. Yes,
This
sir.
is just the compatible sand.
This is just the beach compatible sand.
Okay.
The other spoils, we know what we're doing with those in our plan for the time being. So that current plan is trucking them to a fill, but the beach compatible sand can't be thrown away according to DCM. So we've got to figure out what we can do with it. And it's just, there's a lot of misalignment between what the Corps will accept versus what the state will accept based on the CAMA regulations. And that's what we're juggling with right now. Town hall operations. We are bringing staff back currently Monday through Wednesday, the ones that we're telecommuting. We're still not open to the public, unless, of course, y'all change that for us. But at the time being, we're not open to the public, but we are open to meeting with the public. Should the public wish to meet, they just need to email or call, set up an appointment. We're happy to meet you out in the parking lot. I've set up, the fire department set up a nice little cabana for us today. Don't know where they got it, but thank you. Put a table out there. I had a meeting out there already today, worked pretty well. Now when it gets hotter, that might change a little bit, but we're also not adverse to those of us who have the type of job that will do it, going to the people's houses and meeting with them. We've already been doing that the last 2 months anyway. But just if the public wants to meet with us, call up in advance, set up a time. More than happy to discuss anything with them. Monday through Wednesday, we will be in the offices. Always by phone and email, 24/7 for me. Monday through Friday for the rest of the staff. So where everybody's wearing masks around the common areas. I know right now in the video I'm not, but that's because they couldn't hear me through the microphone. But also the cleaning regimen staying the same here for us right now. So everything's being kept as tidy and nipped up as we can get it. And that's all I've got, unless you got questions for me.
Mr. Borman, do you have any questions for the town administrator?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Phillips, do you have any questions? Mr. Phillips, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Mrs. Harris, do you have any questions for the administrator?
No, I do not.
Okay, Mr. Nern
No.
and Mr. Corbett?
Just to change the record a little bit here, have any of our staff or their families been affected by COVID?
Not that I've been informed of,
Okay, good.
which is great.
Yes. keep that way.
I know some may have distant relatives, but no one immediate. Other life factors have been affecting us, but
Well,
nothing pandemic wise.
it's good to hear that about the staff and their families.
And I think the telecommuting has really helped. It's helped morale, it's helped everything. And honestly, I believe we've been giving better customer service to the public.
One question I have for you, Hiram, when the dredging stuff comes back up and you get an answer before we reply back to them, we will see everything that we're gonna send. So we'll all be on the same page on that, knowing what's coming up.
We should, yes. The only thing, y'all will have to make the decision anyway
Yeah.
of approving where we take that sand. So it's not like he finds a solution and applies. It still has to come before y'all to make that determination, because it may also involve a modification to our CAMA permit.
Okay.
Because that got permitted on the basis that it would go on our beach.
Okay, thank you.
So you will see what's going out. But I will also point out that the only change will be the location of the sand. Everything else is the same packet
Okay,
that went out prior.
all right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. If the next one's Todd, I'm going to bring him in. He's on
All right.
the call.
We're gonna move up to department reports. First up is our planning and inspections department. Mr. Todd Rademacher. You're coming up. He'll be pulled up on the screen. Go ahead. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Great, great.
You guys ready for my report? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Little time delay on the YouTube. So everything's been going pretty good. We've been busy in the department. We pushed back the planning board, board of adjustment, and ERC meetings for the month of June, as there's no citizen requests or contractor requests for business before those boards right now. But we do anticipate resuming our regular schedule next month, assuming everything goes well as has been going. We did been working with Joey O's Pizza, who has leased a space in the Pelican Square shopping center to relocate his business there. Been working with him some sign issues, and I know he's been in conversations with our building inspections department with permitting issues, and the health department as well, as that goes. Arteza Village is rolling right along. They got the brick facades going on the building right now. Sunset Ridge continues with the sewer installation. They'll be rolling quickly into the water line installation, and are hopeful to plat that subdivision by the end of the month, honestly, is what their plans are. In regard to the sanctuary, I spoke to Bill Clark Homes a couple of days ago, maybe last week. Their schedule is to begin clearing probably in the next 7 to 14 days. That is anticipated to be the first 40 acres, which will take you about, on their property, if you remember it, it'll take you about halfway from Seaside Road to Angels Trace Road. And then the towns at Sunset, which is the duplex neighborhood for 216 units, they are anticipating now, due to some delays because of COVID, land clearing activities taking place at the end of June, but more than likely at the beginning of July, to begin moving forward with that project. We've had some code enforcement issues over the past couple of weeks, which is to be expected this time of year. They're all in various stages and multiple things, from signage to illegal driveway pours, things of that nature. But everybody's been fairly good about coming into compliance, so we're always glad to see that happen. Our inspections, that's remained steady throughout this entire process and is still going strong now. There's just a lot of stuff going around town right now. So that's great. And I think I failed to mention it last week or last month. If you get a chance, we did do an Arbor Day celebration to celebrate Arbor Day. And the ERC and some elected officials were there, town staff. There was a dogwood tree planted between the flagpole and the picnic table on the side of town hall. We're hopeful that there's going to be a little write-up in the Beacon maybe this Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure about that, but hopefully that'll be coming up as well. And finally, and importantly, just another reminder about the 2020 census, and how important getting that information out to all the citizens of Sunset Beach, and how important that is for future funding coming back to the town, whether it comes from state funding, federal funding. Getting counted means a lot financially to the town. I believe I checked today, and I think, Hiram, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 35.9% of our residents have responded right now?
Yep.
And the state average is 54%, 57, 54,
I think it's
54.
54.7.
So we really need anybody who can share that information, and even if you're not in Sunset Beach, take the time to fill out that survey and get that going. But yeah, everything's been going great. Things have been going well for the department, so we're happy to be back in the office, but taking things safe.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody got any questions for Mr. Rademacher? No. Mr. Borman, Mr. Phillips, anybody have any questions for Mr. Rademacher?
No, not for me.
Ms. Harris?
None.
Okay. Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Next up,
I'm going to bring in John Michaud.
you're gonna bring John Michon in. Next up will be Stormwater Department, Mr. John Michon. They'll bring him in on their video now.
Maybe. You with us, John?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Howard?
Yep, we can't see you.
I don't know why. Might be the best thing.
We'll just go with the sound.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Just a quick update. We are working on the Second, Third Street project that's moving along nicely now. We have maybe a couple hundred feet of reinforced concrete pipe that was installed Friday and today. We have good weather, obviously, and an excellent contractor, and things are going well. I think what we're doing there along North Shore East is going to be a marked improvement. We're putting in deeper basins so that we can collect sediment. It provides for better storage so we can keep the pipes or the sediment basins clean before that sediment migrates into the pipes and downstream. So anyway, that's going well, and hopefully we'll wrap that up as soon as possible. We'll have some also, in addition, some drainage easement work underway on the mainland side here over the next few weeks. And as well, the crossing there, the culvert crossing on Shoreline Drive East is slated to be done in June, and hopefully that goes well, and I'm sure it will. So those will be the top 4 projects that we have on the books that we wanted to get done that were the priorities. But anyway, that's the update, and unless anybody has any questions. Sorry about the video.
You're perfectly fine, sir. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
No.
Ms. Harris?
None.
Mr. Phillips?
No, sir.
Mr. Borman?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Michon. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yes,
You too,
sir.
John. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on next to our Public Works Department, Mr. Dustin Graham. Go ahead, sir.
39th Street beach access is completed and is open. Also, the paving of Rice Mill, Cotton Mill, and Forest Creek is complete. The portion of Rice Mill that belongs to the town is done. Also, the portion that belongs to the town in the colony is also done. The only thing that's left is some striping to do on Rice Mill and Forest Creek. That's the only thing that's left outstanding. Other than that, that is done.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Graham? Mr. Phillips, Mr. Borman?
No, sir.
Thanks for
No.
patching up that hole in the bike lane on Main Street.
Oh, you're welcome.
Ms. Harris, do you have anything?
No, none.
Mr. Nern?
No.
Mr. Corbett, you're good?
I'm good.
All right, we appreciate you.
And
Thank
just
you,
let
sir.
you know about the dumpster on 27th Street that has been over to Todd, and
Yes, sir.
they'll contract the contractor about that.
Right on. I appreciate that. Appreciate you checking up on that. Thank you, sir. Next up, Mr. Paul Hassenmeyer, our fire chief. Go ahead, sir.
All right, you saw the report there. Run volume numbers are obviously down a little bit, but that's going to be changing. I had a meeting with the county fire chiefs today, so we're going to get
You get closer to the mic.
more active with the EMS calls, and towards the middle of June, some operational things will go back closer to normal. Training numbers, the training hours on the report is up pretty good. We've been doing a lot of internal training. The guys have been out on the water, jet skis, and throughout town. I'm sure a lot of you have seen them doing different exercises. So that's a good thing. Like Mr. Marziano mentioned earlier, nobody's been sick from the pandemic. So knock on wood, hopefully we keep it that way. The boat has a new motor and it's back. There was a break-in period for that new motor, and that was completed over the weekend. There'll be more training to get reacclimated to a little bit more horsepower. In around 20 hours, we'll have to get it serviced, but for the most part, it's in service, ready to go. And then, other than that, we're full tilt on the beach and in the firehouse for everything we're doing. So,
Mr. Nern, do you have any questions for him?
No.
Ms. Harris, you have any questions for Mr. Hassenmeyer?
None.
Mr. Corbett?
Is your fire department manning level up to full speed now?
yeah, there's one full-time hire that's starting next Thursday, and it'll be full staff.
What about your part-time?
Part-time, there's 2 open positions, which we're doing some interviews, and we'll get that back up to where it's supposed to be pretty quickly.
Mr. Borman, you have any questions?
No, not for me.
Mr. Phillips?
No, sir, I'm good, thank you.
I just have one for you. Did you get enough volunteers for your beach patrol, or are you still looking for more volunteers?
The seasonal employees?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right now, we're good.
Okay.
I know Deputy Chief Adams has a handful of additional applications.
I had
but
some ask me, that's why I wanted to make sure.
They can turn in an application, because typically we'll lose a couple potentially. But for now, we're good. We have a good number of returners and a good number of new folks as well, so.
Good deal. Anyone else?
Just a comment on the beach patrol. I mean, the challenge for the beach patrol all the time is to one, be consistent, you know, sort of 3 C's. 1 is courteous, 2 is consistent, and 3 is sort of comprehensive in the coverage. The letter that the lady wrote highlights probably maybe observations from a week or 2 weeks and puts them all together in one. And I go out there and talk to your beach patrol and walk every day. Most of them probably don't want to see me anymore. But for the most part, their efforts and their works are good, and they are responsive, and they're doing a good job for the town. And,
Thank
and
you.
just keep at them.
Appreciate it.
And how come the deputy chief gets to ride the jet ski and the trainee is stuck on the board behind getting pulled underneath in the surf?
He was teaching them what it's like to ride on the board.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, we'll have our police department, Chief Ken Claymore. Mr. Ken, go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening. The packet is contained there in your packet, and it's got some numbers that are reflective of in the midst of the pandemic there for April. And I think you're going to see similar numbers in May. And of course, now that the beach is open, the majority of the restrictions are lifted. I know since Memorial Day weekend, the emphasis has been parking, speeding, parking, and probably more parking. We are present on the beach strand as time permits and as manpower permits. We have the UTV that we purchased 2 years ago that we're utilizing only when we have a third person working. We're doing our best to keep everybody healthy and at work. Of course, this is the time of year people want to take vacations. So we do our best, though, like I said, to try to make sure that our numbers are there and that we're watching everything that we can. We are spread thin at times, and we can't be everywhere at once. We have demands from Sandpiper to East Main, and we do the best we can with what we have. Questions for me?
Mr. Nern, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Ms. Harris, do you have anything?
No, none.
Mr. Corbett?
2 things. One, despite all my phone calls and emails, I think they're doing a good job out there. There's an awful lot of people out there that just like to disregard our rules, and that creates, particularly when they park improperly, unsafe situations for our visitors, kids walking out between vehicles and things like that. I would like to see if there's some way to do a program on golf carts, whether it's periodically once a week or so to sort of just do, I'm not looking to ticket them, but I'm looking to, have the golf carts stopped so that the owners or drivers, responsible people know that they need to have the seatbelts on. They know that licensed drivers need to be driving them, not their little kids. And they're not supposed to be pulling skateboards behind them and doing other things like that. And it's just sort of a consistent problem on the beach during this time of the year with what I call golf cart safety. That we've been very fortunate so far that there haven't been any serious injuries, at least that I'm aware of.
Let me make sure I'm clear. So when you say a program, are you talking like a session where we could host and people would voluntarily come? Or the other thing that popped into my mind when you were talking about checking would be North Carolina law, since these are low-speed vehicles in Sunset Beach, not permitted golf carts. We could do a Chapter 20 check station, which means we're stopping everything on a stretch of roadway, motor vehicles, campers, anything that comes through, including golf carts, and checking to make sure that there are no violations. That's the only way that we could do that. We could not just target golf carts to stop them on the roadway, since they're licensed motor vehicles, and do a safety inspection or talk to somebody. There has to be probable cause, legal, reasonable suspicion, or we'd have to do a checkpoint and stop everybody. So that's problematic, since they're licensed motor
problematic.
vehicles.
Doing a checkpoint on the island or in the town is very difficult.
Correct. And with the climate right now, I don't know that, a Chapter 20
that wouldn't be a good idea anyway.
on Main Street or Sunset Boulevard is going to sit well.
Maybe use your Facebook, which people do observe and read a lot, and just remind them of golf cart safety.
I have a post that I put on, I don't know if it was last summer or the year before. I can put that back at the top, pin it. I can share it with the town clerk, and she can put it on the website as well.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can.
Any little bit, it's encourage them to be responsible.
I don't want to see them make it hurt. That's very important.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Borman, do you have anything for the chief?
Yeah, just a question, Chief. Your chart about closed cases. What are other means? What does that mean? The third column under closed cases.
So that would mean that there was some other closure. So the person decided to do things a different way, to maybe seek some sort of resolution themselves. So another means that didn't involve us or did not involve the court system.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was it.
Mr. Phillips, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Chief, I just want to say I appreciate you. I know there's a time of unrest in our country right now with the police. I appreciate what our guys do here, their professionalism that's shown, the friendliness that's shown. I see them all the time. They throw their hands up. I see them all over town here lately. Just want to tell you we appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, our finance department, and that is Miss Tara Drop.
Hello. So you have the monthly report. The one thing that I will address is that Hire and I have continued the freeze. Every expense is coming through both of us. And we're looking at pretty much every dollar at this point. So I also wanted to let council know that I have been watching revenues for this current fiscal year as well. And believe it or not, March is the sales tax for March is actually $6,000 higher than it was last year for our revenue. That's the latest that we've gotten in at this point. So next month I'll get April and we'll see where that is. So that's how far behind we are. In June we have an idea about April, so it's a few months out. Accommodation tax during our close down period were for this year at this point, or for those 2 months. I'm not going to say to this year at this point, but for those 2 months, we're down about 25,000 because we still had revenue come in for April. So that's about all we lost at this point. And then we'll see how May comes in, but I don't know that at this point, but we are not really seeing an effect on revenues yet. Even the property tax that we collect that are coming in late is $10,000 higher this year than it was last year. So we aren't seeing an effect yet, but that's really all I have to report at this point. Is there any questions on the report?
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything?
No, none.
Councilman Borman?
No, none for me. Thank you.
Councilman Phillips?
Thank you for all your work, Ms. Drop, and that's it for me.
Councilman Corbett?
I'd just like to reiterate what Councilman Nern said. The cover budget letter that you prepared for this budget is very clear, it's very readable, and it's full of information. And anybody who has any questions about the budget should start by reading that first.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Nern, you have anything to add?
Just thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate everything you do for our
Thank
town.
you.
Okay, moving on. Old business, nonprofit organizational funding request.
And the way we're gonna run this is they're in the hallway to come
Yep.
speak. I'm gonna have Cindy just pull one up and they can
One at a
introduce
time.
themselves.
Yes,
So-
yes. Okay, we're gonna bring them up for discussion here.
This is y'all's chance to ask them questions, figure things out, and at the end of this process, you need to give us some guidance towards the budget.
When you step up, please state your name and the organization so our people that are online will know exactly who you are, okay?
Hi, I'm Terry Bryan. I'm the Executive Director for the Ingram Planetarium and Museum of Coastal Carolina. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having us tonight, and also for all past donations that the town has provided our organization. A few things that I'd just like to share. We, in the past year, have served over 20,000 people just at the planetarium. If we took only 10% of those people who come to this area, and with the NC tourism numbers stating that per family unit, that people spend about $560 per day for a family unit of 4, we would be providing over $1 million of revenue to the area. What we request is to help with film purchases and exhibits, new exhibits, so that we continue to have a draw to come into the area. So we are looking for you to please consider us for the town funding. We're not just a nonprofit, we are a revenue draw, we're educational and entertaining. Janet in the hallway just told me that one of her B&B customers had chosen not to come to the beach this year because we were closed in June. So we are making an effect. Our summer revenue has been highly affected by the COVID, and we're still recuperating from Florence. So we really are in need, and we've had to postpone our annual fundraiser. So we're postponing it to next April, and we are just asking for your consideration. And thank you for everything that you've done in the past. Is there any questions that I can answer?
Councilman Corbett, you want
Are you open for business now?
We are not.
You
Under the governor's phase 2 plan, museums were held up, and we're not sure exactly in phase 3 because that's not been mentioned as far as the museums or theater type arenas.
Has a second part of that question. Second question, please. Is the museum and the planetarium, are you eligible for any of the CARES money to cover incomes or maintenance facilities or whatever it happens to?
Yes, we were eligible, and I was pretty quick on the draw with the application process. We did receive the PPP, which will run out at the end of this month. And then we also have been awarded the EIDL. However, there are some stipulations that the board has not worked through and as to whether or not we'll be eligible to obtain the loan portion. We did get the $10,000 advance to assist with utilities, mortgage, rent, and accounts payable. But that is something that goes through pretty quick, so both of those actually.
I can ask more questions if nobody. Do you have approximately what is your monthly operating cost for the planetarium?
I did not bring that with me, and I'm sorry I can't answer that right off the cuff.
That's enough.
Councilman Nern, do you have anything to add?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have any questions?
No.
Councilman Borman?
Yes, just one question. So when you would be permitted to reopen, I would presume that you'd have to make some provisions for social distancing and such. Do you have plans for that?
We do. We've been working extremely hard, meeting all of the criteria for opening to the public. Of course, that's going to be declared by the governor and his rulings according to what phase he places us at, whether it's 25% or 50% capacity. And on top of that, in order to be ready, we've had to purchase quite a bit of additional items to allow for our people to be able to come in. We're doing a one directional at the museum, same thing with the planetarium, spaced seating, social distancing per family. And we're recommending reservations to be called in so that people don't come and have to stand in line in a longer period of time. And that's
Right.
just part of the things that we're doing, but sneeze guards, hand washing stations, many, many things. Lots of expensive pieces.
Mr.
Okay.
Councilman
Okay,
Phillips?
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borman. Councilman Phillips, you have anything to add? Any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I do have one question.
Okay.
How much funding do you get from Ocean Isle Beach?
They give us $20,000 the last 3 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Yes,
time.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Cindy, just do it on my.
Good evening. My name is Louis Washington. I represent the Brunswick County Literacy Council. I'm here substituting for our executive director, who just had surgery on Friday. So even though she wanted to attend, we talked her into taking off her superhero cape, and I hope I can represent us well. Brunswick County Literacy Council offers at no cost to residents several programs. We have our adult basic education, English as a second language, pre-GED programs, financial literacy, and basic computer skills. According to the latest statistics, just about 10% of our population in Brunswick County doesn't have a high school education, and 5% is either Latino or some other race. We conduct aggressive community outreaches to increase awareness of our programs. We partner with other concerns such as NC Works, Brunswick County Community College, Novant, public school system, the Christian Recovery Council, and the detention center. Now, all of our services are delivered to Brunswick County residents by one full-time and 2 part-time employees and over 50 wonderful volunteers. What we're looking at for our funds are, one of the things we do is, in addition to our things, we have a holiday book share, and our funds provide at least one book to each child and senior citizen on the Brunswick Family Assistance Angel Trees. And several years ago, we partnered with Novant and began a program called Baby Book Share. And each newborn baby is given 3 books to start their home library. And in our first year, we reached out to over 500 families. This year, we'd like to use our funding provided by your Sunset Beach Council to purchase the new Reader's Press Workforce Readiness Series, which provides adult literacy, basic education books. We also would like to use the money to get more books for our holiday book share program because we used them all up last year. And the last thing we'd like to do is to improve our technology by purchasing a couple of new laptops. We currently have laptops that are so old that they cannot be updated. And of course, we're going to be in a new paradigm now where we're using much more technology. We're much more technology driven because of social distancing and other CDC programs. That is basically what we're using it for. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Councilman Ern, you have something?
I do have one, Mr. Washington. I don't have the information with me. What is the amount you're seeking?
$2,000.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything for Mr. Washington?
No.
Councilman Corbett, do you have anything, sir?
Nothing specific. I just find that this is a very important program and it fits very well in our community. So
thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Councilman Boardman, do you have any questions?
Could you just clarify for me, this is a Brunswick County-wide service, correct?
Correct.
So the county is also supporting you as well?
We get most of our support from the grants from United Way and from the Sheriff's Department. We get as a matter of fact, we get nothing from the state.
Okay.
And, and our various fundraisers. One of our major fundraisers, as a matter of fact, had to be canceled, which was our spelling bee, which is, one of our premier fundraisers. But of course, in the midst of this crisis, could not do that.
Yeah,
so.
Sure, understand. Okay, thank you. That clarifies it for me.
Councilman Phillips, do you have anything?
I'd just like to echo Mr. Corbett and the benefits of educating as many people as we can in our community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your
Mr.
consideration.
Washington, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a number? Is the planetarium looking for 20,000? 10. 10.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you, start by saying thank you for having Brunswick Family Assistance here tonight to present and the consideration of the application. Since 1981, Brunswick Family Assistance. Charles Jackson, sorry.
So they'll know thank you.
Director of Operations and Outreach. So since 1981, BFA has been dedicated to improving the lives of families and individuals in crisis in Brunswick County who are helping or who are willing to help themselves by providing financial assistance, food assistance, rental assistance such as emergency shelter, etc. We do appreciate all the funding in the past and the consideration of this year. I would like to take a minute to tell you how we have kind of moved forward through COVID-19. So we are still providing all of our services. We are doing all of our financial assistance via the telephone. So phone interviews with all of our clients and providing all of those assistances without them coming into the office, practicing social distancing. We are setting providing food assistance by appointment. So 6 appointments an hour. Clients come, that we check their IDs through their glass, put the food out, then the clients can load their own cars, then we sanitize everything and bring it back in. We have also implemented a new program this year due to COVID-19. If there have been clients that have been affected by COVID, such as lost hours, wages, or even employment, we ask during their intake process if they can provide employment verification. We contact that employer, verify that they have been affected, and they are eligible for monthly assistance. So we can pay up to $300 towards their rent every month through the pandemic, as well as add $60 to their utility bills every month. All of our food assistances for everybody across the board have been increased to twice monthly instead of 6 times a year with 30 days between their visits. And our board is constantly reviewing that. Right now we're paying the monthly assistance is through the end of this month right now. They're going to look at that and obviously extend it as needed. We do work with every other agency, organization, social group in the county to kind of bring funds together to make sure clients that have an extenuating circumstance that we can, bring these monies together and help them. So it's a great partnership across the board with just about every organization in this county. We do appreciate those partnerships. We could not do everything that we do without the help of everybody here. I like the term, it takes a village. So does the council or the board have anything to ask me?
Councilman Aaron, you have any questions?
Charles, good to see you.
You too.
Thank you. What amount are you seeking?
2,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Corbett.
So, could you give us a rough idea in the course of a year of how much funding you receive and you go through in terms of giving back to the community?
Yeah, I actually have my budget here. Give me 1 second. So, uh, 2019, the total revenue was $1,638,817, and the expenses going out with all of our direct services was 1.1, just over $1.1 million. This year, the 2020 budget does show the total revenue as 1.1 and going out at 1,149 million. So I didn't touch on funding. Most of our funding does come from the private sector. We are a United Way agency, so a portion of our rental assistance does come through them. During the disaster, which we are still seeing folks from, there was additional funding from all across the board, United Way, et cetera, to help in those cases as well. But most of our funding does come from the private sector.
Wasn't BFA designated as the county agency to handle all disaster assistance such as this for the last hurricane?
Yes, after Florence, the county did contact us and designated us to handle all operations from receiving supplies and doing distributions, as well as providing the financial assistance to the county. Since then, there has been a VOAD created, Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster. So now everything goes to them, and that we are still active in receiving the supplies, doing distributions, whether they're mobile, set sites, etc. But there is actually a VOAD now to help streamline that. It was not funny when that came through and that happened. I mean, it was chaotic. We literally had just 20 minutes to figure out where we were going to land the first 4 18-wheelers of food that was coming in. So, but it was a great turnout. I mean, we were able to, help a lot of people. I mean, I think it was over $400,000 that came in financial assistance, plus warehouses and warehouses of supplies. So, yes, that's the answer.
Anything else?
Thank you for your good work. Appreciate it, Charles.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have any questions for Mr. Jackson?
No, thank you.
Councilman Phillips, do you have anything for Mr. Jackson?
No, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Borman?
You're muted, sir.
You're muted, sir.
No questions from me. Thanks very much.
Quick question from me, because I've dealt with y'all on some different things for some people. Am I wrong on this, or am I right? Did y'all close your little facility where you were selling all your stuff?
We did.
Is that closed?
That's
been transferred to a government place where food will be coming in. Is that correct?
Correct. We have been running the Department of Agriculture surplus food drive for many years, and the only distributors of that in southeastern North Carolina. But it has grown just so much. It went from 1 18-wheeler load of food to 4 or 5. So to help in many different ways, number one,
we were having to do the distribution in the middle of the night. You know, we were not seeing clients that can't drive at night, such as the seniors or disabled or whatever, as well as them being able to store the food they were receiving. I mean, it literally, just one example of that, who can store or eat 180 apples? So we are turned our thrift store into a food distribution center for that, and we are going to move into monthly distributions for the entire third week of the month. If we see that we need to run it for additional weeks, we can run it into the fourth week of the month, and bring those numbers of folks back up to what they were. We on average see about 1,000 families for that distribution. So that's anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 individuals. It will give them, the opportunity to be able to receive less food each month, but be able to store and utilize that food instead of having to throw away rotten fruit or give away the proteins that they were getting because they got 5 pork loins and 3 whole chickens, and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people just have that little refrigerator freezer. They don't have the chest freezer of that capacity. So due to the growth, NCAG was actually, you know, a instrumental part in that, saying, hey guys, we need to move in a different direction with this, as well as we've seen it. I mean, it's hard to put all that food in those cars for those clients. So I think it'll be genuinely beneficial to everybody. We are looking at July being the first month resuming that program. So the third week of July, clients will be able to come through Monday or Tuesday through Saturday. The Saturday for folks that work, 9 to 5 or can't get there during the week, we're going to open up on Saturday morning from 9 to 12 and run that pantry as well.
It's good. Thank you so much. It's a great
Thank
program.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Freeman. I'm the director of the Brunswick County Chamber of Commerce. I've been here less than a year, and upon my arrival...
You'll need to speak closer to the...
Oh, sorry. I was trying to step back. Masks do kind of hinder you a little bit. I've enjoyed really working in this community and working with our partners. We are a Chamber of Commerce, and we also work as a boots-on-the-ground tourism center. We greet folks that are calling us from anywhere from where's the best place to watch the sunsets. Of course, it's here. To grocery stores, to things to pick up. We've been actually open part-time for the last week and a half, and next week we'll have the chamber office open. It's been a delight for this community, like I said. I'm here today on behalf of the Brunswick County Chamber asking for funding for promotion of the region, marketing, and allow us to promote those that are coming into our chamber office. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about
If
that.
you need to pull it down a little bit, you're welcome to.
Am I-
Pull your mask down if you need.
You can slide your mask down if you need to go ahead.
Thank
and
you,
speak.
Lord.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to also say, you know what, I hate these things. I worked in the dental world for about 10 years, y'all, so I wore them every day. But first of all, I'd like to thank what you all doing. I mean, by coming to your beaches, your police officers have been wonderful to work with. I say that genuinely because we come here and we ask crazy questions about, as most tourism do, where do you park? Where can you eat? What do we need? And can you help me? And so thank you for your kindness as we go through. You run a great organization, so be proud of what you do. Our operation, I've been here for a total of 9 months now. And when I first came to the Chamber of Commerce office, I realized that we did not have any intentional marketing. We were just kind of doing a lot of events and not really focused on those that were coming to our region and how to share our message. So what we're doing is I'm asking for funding for $4,600 to apply to digital marketing, Gallant advertising, Gallant videography rather. We've worked with them for the last 4 or 5 months on short videos of the region, our small business community partners, to help those that are looking to relocate here know a little bit more about what's here. And it's very hard when you're talking to someone from New York or Florida, Montana, and they're saying, what can you tell me about your region? And so we'd like to use some of these marketing tools to get that message out. Also, we're working on upgrading our website. So by going to the website, I realized that we are lacking a lot of, again, intentional marketing. When we go and look for the town of Sunset Beach, it has a cluster of images that we're going to take and basically get a more of a rhythm with a little bit of the history of the town, the community, the beach images, and also just linking into Sunset Beach area. Let me see what else can I say. I just have a heart and soul for what I do, y'all. I've been in the industry for 16 years. I came from the mountains of Western Carolina, traveled to the middle of the state, and now I'm here. I'm back to where I feel like I'm back home, promoting our small business partners and communities. So I hope you'll consider the marketing. We're really, I hate to say, I really love what I do when I'm marketing that and sharing our word. Again, right now we are fielding phone calls at the Chamber of Commerce office probably about every 15 minutes, and I kid you not. From asking questions about where are we getting the groceries, what do I need to bring with me, and how do we just navigate during this COVID virus and do it effectively. Questions?
Anybody got any questions? Councilman Corbett.
So how much money are you getting from the other 17 communities, municipalities?
Other 17 communities?
Municipalities in the county.
Well, actually, we are the part of the islands, basically. Like we're Charlotte, we're Holden Beach, and we're down this way to Calabash.
Okay, so just the southern part.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, even though we do have members that we cover from Wilmington all the way into Myrtle Beach, our primary area is here that we do market, basically, and promote. I have put in request from Charlotte to Ocean Isle Beach, and I'm just now starting my journey in Holden Beach.
And Carolina Shores, Calabash.
Haven't gotten that far yet. I'm working my way through it. But yes, we have put a request in. Typically, the request has been about $1,500 to $3,000. But Charlotte, we're going to go after a little bit more because we have some marketing that we'll be announcing here coming up soon. What we're doing with the marketing is applying it to direct videos. So it's a return. So when I meet with hiring and I say, what are you all looking for? What would you like to share about your message? You'll be able to have say in what we're doing. Brent does a lot of neat little, little restaurants to the region. And what we'd like to do is take that and then add it to a larger regional type marketing piece that we can put in the visitor centers in the state of North Carolina, that we can share with our small business partners, and we can use for our website as we do the website over. So it has a far reach across where we're going. Instantly on our social media page that we're asking for some funding for, we have about 35,000 connections immediately. We have 10,000 that we connect with. We partner with 2 other organizations, and between those 2 organizations, we have a total of 35 immediate opportunities to market our message. So we try to do all kind of cross media, because not everybody and their brother does social media. Some want print media. So in turn, we have done, this is our first market that we have done. It was a small little project, but allowed the Tidewaters. You know, the Tidewaters, as much as you live here, you don't always think about it, is for weddings, shelling, fishing, and just for people to sit there and go, I'm going to get married. When's the full moon and when the tide's going to be there? There's so many small marketing piece chunks that we've just never done here through the chamber that we're implementing here as we go forward. And that will be our reach. So I know there's a lot of good folks here, and we do promote the museums, and we do promote your beaches, and we do take care of the fact of just sharing the good news of our community. So, hope you'll consider us for that marketing opportunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Boardman, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Councilman Phillips?
No, thank you.
Councilman Nern?
No.
Wake up over. Councilwoman Harris?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in.
Nice
Appreciate
meeting
you.
all. If you need anything, have any questions, just call me at the Chamber of Commerce. I can come by again whenever you would like that.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Ms. Sendai, you have someone else, please?
I probably need to keep it down low. My name's Ann Hewitt. I'm the donor advisor for Lower Cape Fear Life Care, formerly Lower Cape Fear Hospice. We changed our name January 1st to encompass some of the things that we offer. more, like palliative care, that kind of thing. But today I'm here to ask for support for our We Honor Veterans program. Between January and March of this year, we did 20 veteran pinning ceremonies, and I've had the honor to be in a room at the care center when we do one of these pinning ceremonies. And it's the last chance that a veteran has to be honored for their service. Sometimes these veterans haven't gotten the recognition that they've deserved. It's also important for the families. And there are gentlemen right now who are veteran volunteers that will literally drop everything they're doing to come to the care center because time is crucial sometimes. There's a small window of time. So the veteran pinning ceremony, the staff members that are at the care center at the time are invited in. The family members are there. We've got a veteran from each, well, not each branch of the military, but a Marine, Army veteran, Navy veteran, and Air Force veteran. It's a veteran-to-veteran program, so they have a conversation with the patient if they are communicative. And there was a opportunity, actually 2 times this year, that I've been in the room when the veteran patient had not talked to anybody in 2 to 3 days, and when those gentlemen saluted him, he responded. So this is a moment of closure and a proud moment for those families. So I'm requesting funding, $2,500, to help us continue this veteran pinning ceremony. Right now we're a level 4 partner with We Honor Veterans with the Department of Veteran Affairs in association with the National Hospice and Palliative Organization. So thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Any questions?
Mr. Nerd?
And it's good to see you.
It's good to see you
a long
too,
time.
Charlie.
What area do you cover?
We cover, the funding will stay in Brunswick County, but we cover all 9 counties in southeastern North Carolina. Lower Cape Fear Life Care does. But the funding that you hopefully will provide us tonight does stay in the Veterans, We Honor Veterans program in this county, in the homes also, as well as the care center.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Corbett?
Let them go ask.
You gonna be a while. Councilman Borman?
Yes. Do you receive any funding from the VA as well?
From the VA, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if they've applied for a grant from the VA, but I do know that the veteran pinning ceremonies and vet-to-vet programs are usually a grant situation, and BEMC, Brunswick Electric, has given us $1,000 the last several years. And right now, that's the only funding that I've applied for personally.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Phillips?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, sir.
Lisa, do you have their contact information? There's a couple other groups in this area that would be more than willing to provide some support.
We would love that.
In addition to this. And I would just like to add, from a personal point of view, this past year, my father-in-law enjoyed that pinning service. And so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the family.
Yes, it's very, yeah.
That it, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Corbett.
I thought you was gonna be long. That's good. Thank you so much for coming
You're
out.
welcome.
We appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care, Ann.
I believe that's all that showed up for tonight.
Is that everybody? Okay.
It's not everybody that's applied,
That's
but it's everybody that
that's
showed
here.
up.
So, okay. So we'll be ready to move on next to our special events discussion.
Y'all need to, do y'all want to discuss?
Okay, yeah. Excuse me. All right. Mr. Borman, do you have anything you'd like to add as we go into this discussion about this?
Well, these are all kind of worthy causes. It's hard to make a decision, and of course, the amount of funding that they're asking for, if you take it as a total, is more that we have budgeted for. So, don't know how we usually do this. This is my first experience in trying to assess which one of these worthy causes gets funded, one or all of them. So I think they're all very worthy. Some a little more than others, I think, but I'd like to hear exactly how we can possibly split the pie up amongst the people that have been asking for the funding here tonight.
Councilman Phillips, you want to add into your discussion?
I think I agree with Mr. Borman about the validity of the causes. I also think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the most requests that we've ever had for funding from nonprofits. So as things go on, we'll have to consider that. I do appreciate having heard from and worked with other nonprofits that a lot of their primary fundraising opportunities have been lost this year due to the virus. Much like we're going to have to grapple with funding for the town, I think a lot of these agencies are going through the same thing. So I think as we go through this, we should try to do the ones that have the most benefit for the people potentially at the most need as we try to determine allotment of the funds allocated. And that's what I have for right now.
Councilwoman Harris, do you like?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Councilman Nern?
Would you say there's 2 or 3 others that weren't able to come?
Twin Lakes.
Yeah, Twin Lakes, I believe, was the only one who didn't show up.
Do you want me to go down through exactly what
Yes,
they've asked
please.
for, each individual nonprofit? So the planetarium that you heard from, their request was for $10,000. We also got a request from Twin Lakes. So they were not able to come, and their narrative is that they are asking for $10,000 to assist in purchasing grass carp, assist in purchasing algae control by spraying 2 times a month for 8 months, assist in purchasing bacterial blocks for biological dredging. So that was their presentation on their application. Then the Brunswick Chamber asked for $4,600. Cape for Life Care, the Veterans Program, asked for $2,500. Brunswick Literacy Council asked for $2,000, and Brunswick Family Assistant asked for $2,000.
Thank you.
It's 31,100 is the total, 31,100.
Well, during these tight budget times, I think they're all worthwhile, very worthwhile. But I don't see putting 31,000 into it, no way. We have 6. Okay, someone with a calculator. Well, let's make it easy. 6. If we gave them each 2,000, that would be 12,000, which would be 1,500 more than we have budgeted. Or we could go back to 1,500, giving each group the same amount. That's my thoughts on this.
The first question I have is dealing with the Twin Lakes, which it is a 501c3 that they set up.
They just gave me their updated IRS declaration recently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's been question in the past about the ownership of the lakes, and the 501c3 does not make any type of cases about the ownership, but they make a case about preserving the lakes and taking care of them. I'm sorry that a representative didn't show up, because I was wondering, it would seem to me that some signage around the observation point, if the town would approve it, and a GoFundMe campaign could pretty quickly during the tourist season, attract some folks and some monies to assist in that area.
They've
But-
already placed a sign at the Birdwatch.
Yeah, haven't been there for a while.
Yeah, well, they've placed it without coming to us and asking for a permit either. But Todd's contacted them and sorted it out.
Okay. Is it a GoFundMe type of thing, or
I
is
think
it
they just have their own
send
donation
donations?
kind of thing where they send it into them. They've got it set up as a Facebook group, I believe.
Yeah. What I wasn't clear on was, they talked about a number of things, the bi-monthly or twice a month, whatever, the treatment that they had to do several times during the summer had one set of costs, and then they talked about another thing called muck blockers, which sound like some type of a system that goes down into the various parts of the lake, but they didn't, that I recall, provide funding information as to how many of those muck blockers and how much it would cost to accomplish anything.
Yeah, we don't ask anything quite that specific. When it hits I don't have it in front of me, and I can't actually think of it right now. Once the donation is a certain dollar amount from us, then we ask at the end of the year for them to send us, what did you spend? Show us that you spent this correctly.
We basically get an
like
audit
if it's
from them.
$2,000, we're not going to say you need to prove to us. Like, so it's the threshold, and then they send us the proof that they actually spent it the way that we wanted them to. The history that we have with them was back in 2011 and 2012. It wasn't that much, so. Or not what they're asking for now.
Yeah. My question isn't so much as an audit, but to understand what money is required to really solve the problem there, and then to look at, is there a way to go after and assist, and is it within, our purview as a town to use public money to assist in taking care of those lakes? That's kind of where my question areas come in.
Do you want me to try to answer that real quick?
Do you have an answer you could try to give?
I can give you a professional opinion on the matter.
All right.
Those lakes we have an easement to have our bird watch on the same said lakes. It is very definitely contributing to the tourism factor of the town. Is it $10,000 worth of contribution? No, I don't believe it is. Also, and I don't mean this discourteously or whatever, but you're asking for $10,000 and you don't show up to ask and explain why. I think we can show a definitive need for it. The lakes are murky. That's a given. There's a lot of buildup. We've talked to our own engineer about it. It is an expensive fix. It's an expensive maintenance. They do have their own campaign, like everyone else who stepped up here to seek other funding. I don't believe there's an issue with us donating to support. I don't think that funding nearly over a third of their cost that was at least relayed to us last time we talked is warranted. It is a beautiful area. I'd like to see it look better, but with all these other needs and our limited funds, I don't think $10,000 is right. Of course, I don't think it's right for that much money for us at this time to be given out to anybody. So it's not just them, it's in general. But some type of contribution would not, I think, be a problem for us to give, since it is part of something that we ourselves are invested in by having our bird watch there. Now, if this was a matter of us not having the bird watch and this was just them coming to ask for help with the lake that they didn't own, I would then say, yes, we shouldn't be giving public money to non-owners to fix property that's not theirs. But since we do have a vested interest in it, since we have our bird watch there, I don't see there's any problems with us donating something.
Especially with every time you ride by there, there are people there. It is definitely a draw.
But that's my professional opinion on that question.
Are you done, John?
Well, I have a view on everything, so if you want to keep talking about Twin Lakes, keep.
Okay, I Well, first of all, anybody that tells you that myself or anybody on this council wants to take over ownership and full responsibility for those lakes, they're telling you a lie. They are a nonprofit and they are raising funds through other means. It's not like they're coming to us and wanting us to be the only one to contribute. And the one thing to remember is that everybody lives on those lakes. They're tax-paying citizens of Sunset Beach. 10,000? No, I don't want to give 10,000 to anybody. Again, I think give each of these six $2,000, or if you want to go down to 1,500, that's fine. Yeah, I'm done. That's it.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, ma'am.
the Twin Lakes issue, I'm not comfortable with that appearing under our town as a nonprofit for our town to support. Number one, there is no guarantee that the property owners will mitigate their contribution to the pollution of these lakes. And that is what's causing a lot of the algae. So I would, my position is I do not think that they should be included in our funding for nonprofits this year.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Mr. Borman and Mr. Phillips, would either one of you like to add anything before we go a little bit further in this discussion? Coming off.
Yeah, I think it would have been better if someone came to explain how they will mitigate some of the root causes rather than just treating the blooms when they happen. It's a tough problem. I mean, it's not a lot different than our dredging problem, in my opinion. So I'm not sure how to make a decision when they haven't really explained what some of the issues are.
Mr. Phillips?
I tend to agree with Mr. Borman and Ms. Harris that unless you start to mitigate some of the contributing factors here, this is going to be a never-ending process. It's like trying to drain a bathtub while you still have the faucet on. It's just never going to happen. So at this point, I tend to agree with Ms. Harris to not fund the Conservation Association at this time. And again, I feel like there are some other nonprofits here that have a more beneficial contribution to the community as a whole, considering the environment that society is in right now. And that's it for right now regarding that topic.
My views on Twin Lakes would be that if we donated anything, it would be a max of $2,000. But I'm not hard over on that one. I think that for the Brunswick County Chamber of Commerce, I think $2,000 as a share for us would be more appropriate, not $4,600. I strongly support the County Literacy Council for $2,000. Brunswick Family Assistance, if we were going to give $20,000 to anybody, I would support that. But so I definitely go for the $2,000. As I said, I like and I support the Lower Cape Fear Hospice, the Veterans Pinning Program. I think at this point in time, though, $2,000 would be sufficient, but I would make a personal commitment to reach out to some of the other nonprofits that I'm associated with to see if we could fill up some of the void. But I can't do that on behalf of the town, but I think $2,000 would be sufficient from here. Where I have the biggest concern is the Ingram Planetarium. That is a tourist attraction. It is a central educational feature within our town. Last year, we supported it for $5,000. I would be inclined, although I would like to say 10,000, but I'd be inclined to continue the support for $5,000. And what that would do would be 2, 4, 6, 8, and 5 would be $13,000 from the accommodation fund tax to go into the nonprofits for this year. And so that would be the proposal that I would make to wait a minute, I left off 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 3. And 5 would be 15,000 if we gave 2,000 to Twin Lakes, but I'd be more than willing to drop to 2,000 to 10 Twin Lakes and just leave it at 13,000.
Sorry, real quick. Are we doable to go above the 10.5 that we have in the budget?
Yeah, I mean, it would only affect general fund by $2,500. So.
I'm just it's not as tight as what some of the public may be making it out to be at this point.
Well, so everything's an estimate.
Right.
Pretty much anything can be adjusted.
I know.
And so, like,
basically, I'm asking for a
best
confidence
guess.
level.
Yeah. Yes.
You're confident.
$2,500.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when you hit the 20,500 mark, then yeah, I would have to really go back through the whole entire budget. But for a change of $2,500, I mean, I would be able to. I mean, we could even cut something probably by 2,500 if we had to, or I can go back and look at revenues. It's in a almost $6.9 million budget. $2,500 isn't.
I'm just trying to head off the.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Right.
So this would come from the accommodations tax?
Yes.
All of this comes from the accommodations tax.
From my perspective, I'm not comfortable allocating more funds than were done last year, considering the current set of circumstances. So I would like to try to keep the cap at what Ms. Drop had proposed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Councilwoman Harris.
Museum.
I personally am opposed to increasing what we have allocated. I don't think we should go more than the $10,500 that we have proposed to the budget. I think we should split that the best way we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Then I would sort of, do you want to?
Go ahead.
I would say, I think the one where we have the greatest leeway at this point in time is the Chamber of Commerce. And so rather than 2,000, I would say go down to 1,000. And then that would bring our Ingram Planetarium, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 3,500 to the Ingram Planetarium.
So you're saying the Chamber 1,000, Twin Lakes 2,000.
No,
drop Twin Lakes.
Drop Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes.
Yeah.
So it would be 1,000 for the chamber, 2,000 for Literacy Council,
And Brunswick family.
Brunswick family, and the Veterans Pinning.
And the hospice, yeah.
Yeah, and then 3.5 or 3,500 for the museum.
And that would leave in what is already budgeted, the $10,500, correct?
Correct.
Councilwoman Harris, did you hear that proposal?
Yes, that is not going over the 10,500, correct?
No, ma'am, that is staying under. Again, it would be the $1,000
for the chamber.
Would be for the chamber. The 2,000 would be for the Brunswick Family Assistance, 2,000 for the Literacy Council, and 2,000 for our Chamber of Commerce.
No.
Oh, wait a minute.
The
2,000 is for the pens.
For the hospice, lower Cape
Yeah,
Fear
that's
hospice.
the lower Cape, and then
3,500.
Yeah, 3,500 for the planetarium, and that would give us a
fine.
total of
I'm fine with
10,500.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
All right,
Councilman
well,
Aaron, go ahead.
I see that I would get outvoted on the Twin Lakes, but I do want to say, yeah, I wish their representative had been here, but we did receive an email from them stating exactly what they wanted to do with the money. I assume all of us got it. Can I remember what it is off the top of my head? No. But a lot of it was to make the bacteria go away. And to me, that's an environmental issue. That being said, I'm good with everything John suggested. Keep it at 10,500. And Jan?
Councilman Borman, Councilman Phillips. What do you think about the proposal?
No, I'm good with the 10,500, the way that it's been discussed.
Okay, and Councilman Phillips?
I am as well, thank you.
So with that being said, this would be using the 10,500 that is budgeted. Chamber of Commerce at 1,000, correct? Brunswick Family Assistant at 2,000. Literacy Council at 2,000. Lower Cape Fear Hospice with the Veterans Pen at 2,000, and the Planetarium at 3,500. Is that correct, sirs and ma'ams?
Yes.
With that being
Yes.
said, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Councilwoman Harris?
Aye.
Councilman Nern?
Aye.
Councilman Corbett?
Aye.
Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
And Councilman Borman?
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll have those numbers updated for the budget on the 16th meeting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, moving on. Next is our special events discussion.
Do you want us to start with bringing in people?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir, please. Bring in the different reps. Please state your name and your organization, sir.
My name's James Wilson. I represent Pure Markets. We conduct the outdoor market in the park on Thursdays.
You step closer to the mic, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about continuing or resuming the market here in town. We are faced with an unusual situation, as you all know. You've been handling it well, and we appreciate your conscientious effort in keeping the town running during this unusual time. We see that we're faced with how do we run a market safely outdoors? The outdoors is a plus. We've heard that being outdoors is a little better environment than being closed up like we have been here for a few hours. But the main thing is we found that it's all about how do we contain the virus from spreading to other individuals. Chris, my wife and I, we manage the markets. We decided to go and investigate other outdoor markets that were currently being held. That most of them started up sometime in May. We wanted to see how they were faring, how they addressed this situation that we have at hand. We went to 3 markets up in Wilmington. We went to Carolina Beach. We observed how they are set up to minimize the spread of this contagious disease that's got its grip on the world. We also talked to a number of different vendors on what they're doing individually to try to contain the spread of the disease. We also looked at what various towns are doing. We decided to take a page out of Sunset Beach's book. We think you've done a good job here. We see things that you've done that we could emulate at the park to help contain this disease. There isn't anybody that's going to contain it 100%. The main objective is to minimize it. What Chris did, she put out a list of the items that or conditions that we will enforce at the market, all intended to minimize the spread of the virus, whether it's airborne or by physical contact. I assume you all had received this. Also, a little late, but better late than never, I did a wonderful rendition of the park here. It shows how we were set up in 2019. We knew we had to spread out a little bit. By spreading out, we will encompass the whole circumference of the park. In 2019, we occupied probably a little over half the park. In 2019, we spaced out the vendors' booths. There was 5 feet between each vendor's booth, which at the time seemed like an adequate space. We have seen other markets that there's no space between the vendors' booths. So we thought that was adequate. Well, with the onslaught of what we're facing today in the world, we became acutely aware that it isn't adequate. So what we've done is we decided to use the whole park so we could spread out. So instead of 5 feet between each vendor, we now, I would say there's approximately 15 feet between each vendor. That helps facilitate the flow of foot traffic. It will also spread out the number of patrons that are walking along the pathways around the circumference of the park. We also are going to employ a one-way direction around the park. We feel this will also help aid in the flow of foot traffic. It'll keep people moving, and with the staggered display booths and the 3 times the distance between them, we feel this is a good plan. We also will instruct our vendors all to sanitize their booths periodically during the market day. We also will require them to have sanitized dispensers at their booths so that they can use them after each transaction, and it will be also offered to the patrons that come through. So we can try and minimize the contamination from touch that way. Signs will be posted requesting, we can't require patrons to wear masks or keep safe distancing. We can only suggest that. We're confident that the majority of the people that live in this town and the tourists that come here to have a good time, to have a vacation, don't want to jeopardize their health. They don't want to make anybody else sick. So we're confident that the majority of the people will comply with our request to practice safe health procedures. That's about what we have to offer here. I don't want to go through all the steps unless you have some questions about that. We would like to start the markets again as soon as possible. We're also relying on our vendors. These are minimum standards. If they want to do something extra to make sure there's something that will enhance the safety of themselves and their customers, they're certainly welcome to do that. We may copy some of that too if someone comes up with a great idea. So we're open. The beach is open. The rental properties are getting filled up, and we just want to be a part of a good summer here, good, safe, healthy summer here at Sunset Beach. That's all I got today. Any questions?
We have just a suggestion in terms of how we proceed here. We have two markets, same place,
right,
same challenges. My thoughts are perhaps let the other market lay out their plan, because when we ask questions, at least the questions I have are going to apply to both markets.
Sure.
And it would be redundant to run through you and then run through theirs.
Right.
And
Okay, that's-
you'll find that many of the other market procedures are very similar to yours.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. And
Is
we
that-
will
is
work
that reasonable?
with, we can work with Janet. We know Janet, and setting up a similar maybe flow of traffic through the park so that doesn't get all jumbled up. So we know Janet, we know we can work with her.
Well, why don't you have a seat right there real
Take a
quick?
seat right there around the door.
We'll bring
before
her
you
in.
go to the door there.
Sure.
Let her give
That'd
her
be good.
spill, and then let y'all
Go from
we'll ask
there,
questions
then
of
we
both of you.
can ask at one time.
Okay, that sounds
So
good.
just slide it right there next to the door, and you should be 6 foot away from Miss Tara, if you will, please, sir. You can use that chair, sir. Yeah, that chair right there, just slide it over, and that way you can sit down. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Jim. My name is Janet Benton. Do I take this off?
You can,
If you can, ma'am, if you need to talk this, ma'am.
My name is Janet Benton, and I'm representing the One Love Market, which is the summer Mondays in the park. We had so much fun last year that we wanted to continue on, and we have a lot of short-term guests here in Sunset who are looking for the opportunity to enjoy our park, enjoy our amenities, and enjoy all the beautiful things that these vendors offer. I have a handout actually, because since I'd sent something a little while back, but since since we've been opened, we found that there are some markets. Oak Island in Parks and Rec has just opened up and had their.
You have to talk to the microphone.
Sorry.
We handed this out.
My
to the
voice
council.
carries. Okay. There was one extra item that I didn't, that I forgot to do. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
This is just an example of
Thank
Oak
you.
Island's Park and Rec advertisement.
Thank you.
That's all right. We'll grab one of theirs for the minutes.
Wait, I have one. Okay. Anyway, so they started last week. This is for their June event, which is Mondays as well. And we basically have been canvassing, as Jim had mentioned, that we've been canvassing several others in terms of different markets and looked at what their standards are and how they're going to implement. And we've updated and we've come up with a 12-point safety guideline checklist because we really believe that we are very much in support of, we're in a risk management position as well. So we feel that that's really very important to us. We want to limit we don't want to necessarily limit the guests who come to this shopping experience. This is an open air market. The whole thing that we've all discovered is density. We don't want to have a dense market. So we feel that it's a walk-through market. People will come in to shop and leave. and it's a 4-hour market. We're talking about 13 Mondays in terms of what we're requesting. And we believe that we do offer a service to this community considering what we've all been going through. So there are vendors who've made masks. We are going to have hand sanitizer for sale, but every vendor will have hand sanitizer. We'll minimize the amount of people that are allowed to go into a booth, basically a family, or if it's a couple, or if it's 2 people walking through just for the one transaction. Only one transaction can be taken care of within the park or within the tent area. We think that by spreading out also, we were a little bit more ambitious in terms of the time of the position of the 10 by 10 booths. We felt that we needed to have 10 feet on either side, so that would be 30. So by opening up the market, we felt that we didn't want to impose on the Veterans Memorial area, but it would really be the first large section, and I've given you a map as to where we're considering this. We would be alternating booths. There would be basically 3 within each section because it's a pretty aggressive, it's a pretty widespread, 30 feet is a lot. But we feel that would be effective to keep everyone safe. We're positioning the booths 3 feet back from the walkway, which we think will minimize any kind of congregation. If we have one-way access, we have, a throughway. And we were thinking of a 2-way street on the pathway, but we're certainly open to any type of compromise. But we felt that was a good way of doing it, being 3 feet off of the walkway would minimize any type of congregation happening in the pathways. And that would allow us to really provide a good level of customer service. It would minimize the density, and it would, I think it would be very, very effective. Within the 12 points, obviously, our vendors would have to follow these protocols. We'd have to make sure that they are adhering to, if they're asymptomatic or if they feel that they have any kind of issues. My partner, I'll give you an example. My partner is Sharon Mirabella, and she is going to be having an operation later in the summer, and she feels very compromised coming to the park. So she's going to be doing behind the scenes, handling the business office from behind the scenes. She won't be coming because she doesn't want to compromise herself. She certainly doesn't want to compromise anyone else. So I think that just like with what Jim had said and everyone beforehand, we've got a very, very smart group of people here. We've gone through a tough time, and I think that no one wants to get sick, and I think that no one wants to impose that on anyone else. Last weekend was a little cuckoo with the Memorial Day, everyone out there. But I think that within our community, people coming to our park, I think people are very respectful. I think that we want to have a nice experience, and I think that if we set this up properly and follow certain protocols, we can achieve that. Anyway, that's my thing.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Could I just suggesting a procedure?
Okay.
Because we each have lots of questions. I mean, maybe should we adjust first? Do we have a general consensus on the council that we want to move forward with having markets in the park? And then if we have a consensus that we want to move forward with our markets in the park, then I think we should go through to identify any adjustments to the plan that both parties have put together, which have covered a pretty good comprehensive way to manage. Yes.
I
haven't had dinner yet, so I want to get okay.
Whether this is the time to restart the markets or not, I do want them started. I attended both markets last year, and I think they're an important part of the town. But then I have some questions. So,
Councilman Borman, do you want to proceed, or where's your stance on this issues?
And you're muted, sir. You're muted, sir.
Unmute. Okay, Tom?
Sorry. Just as Councilman Nern has just said, I'm in favor of them starting, but it's a question of when and how do we how do we accomplish that with the current environment and the stage that we're in. I have some real questions about social distancing and how that would be maintained currently. I find it very difficult to see how that could be done. Now,
We're just seeing if we
with
got-
the other two first. Councilman Phillips?
My thoughts are I'd like to see the events start to begin up again within the town. For some time now, I've been saying I think a lot of things rely on personal responsibility. I do think some of the comments about how citizens will respond and keep the social distancing, I think those are a little bit optimistic. As we've heard comments about the beach accesses, we were all hoping that the one-ways would work there. Clearly, that's not been respected, so I think we have to take all that into account. My biggest consideration is seeing some of these events are happening in other areas. It's my understanding in phase 2, we're limited to 25 people in an outdoor gathering. So my concern, more so than how do we open the parks up at this point, is when can we do this in relation to the state of emergency by the governor's office to limit the number of people appropriately so that these vendors are remaining in compliance with those orders as well. So that's my primary concern. After that, depending on what phase 2 ends up turning into phase 3, what that looks like, I would be in favor of opening things up as best we can, quite honestly. I'm finished. Thank you.
Councilwoman Harris?
Yes, in this phase 2 of the governor's standards, I have a number of concerns. The number of people, number one. Social distancing, of course. I have a huge concern about the bathrooms. And also, I have received a number of complaints from citizens, especially here on the island, that people are not complying with our one-way walkways. And I also hear a lot of complaints about the grocery stores. They have set up good standards, but they aren't being maintained by people. So I'm hearing things that concern me that I don't know that we have the power to control. So I don't feel comfortable at this time.
Go ahead, Charlie. I'll see you.
I have questions. Jim, how many vendors are you going to have?
Charlie, we don't have a total figure yet, but we're looking at 60 plus, maybe upwards to high 60s. That's a typical number for our summer markets in the past. We find that's a good, manageable number, both for my wife and myself, and for the town to negotiate with the police and things like that. So, and traffic and parking. So we want to stick with that number.
Okay. And Janet, you say you'll have 26?
We're not as mature a business.
Microphones, please, because YouTube won't pick it up.
We're not as mature a business. You know, we've only been in this would be our second season, so we don't have the maturity that that Jim's market, the pure markets have. So we feel that in terms of the people who have the vendors who we're going to be working with, we've got 23 right at this point in time, based on the measurements of the walkways and everything, and in terms of the standards that we feel comfortable with. Our maximum, we'd max out at 26.
Number 3, vendors and staff are required to wear face masks during the market, and customers will be encouraged to as well. I know human nature, and I can't believe that these vendors will be willing to wear face masks for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I'd like to address that, Charlie.
Go ahead.
First of all, it's going to be a requirement of Pure Markets that all vendors wear their mask when interfacing with their customers. You're right, wearing a mask for 4 hours would be really tough, maybe even be a health problem. So when they're not addressing or interacting with their customers, they can take them off. But once they start engaging with their customers again, they will be required to wear their mask. All our vendors know this, and they know that they must agree to do this or they will not be welcome back to the market during this period of crisis. So we do have control over the 60+ vendors. But you're right, human nature, there'll be people there without masks. But at some point in time, you've got to say, hey, be responsible for yourself.
Well,
You know?
we know how that works.
Yes,
and,
I know you do.
And under number 1, I'm just going to make a statement here. This will not work. I know it. I'm just making a statement. If the traffic is one way, people are going to violate it.
I agree with you because I agree with you, but I think that within our pathway, our idea was to basically, if we used a chalk mark that created a staggered line, then we have an arrow that would go one way, an arrow going the other way. Having the vendors set back 3 feet will minimize, if somebody needs to cut through.
Microphone,
or something
please.
like that, they can go around.
Microphone.
Sorry. You can see I don't do this that often.
Neither do we.
Yeah, we don't like it much either.
Right, but the two-way, having it two-way with a staggered line and with arrows going each way.
2-way or 1-way?
Two-way. I think, Jim, you had recommended going the 1-way. We had envisioned doing 2-way, but we felt that because we would be set back 3 feet off the pathway, that would allow people, if they, some leeway to kind of cut through and to go around and to minimize the congregations, because that's what we really noticed last year, is that people sit and they chit chat and we're all neighbors and we're friends and we stop and we hug the dogs and, ooh and ah over the children. So we feel that that's going to minimize that and it becomes just a flow through.
Can I ask a question that goes with that? Is there a problem with putting the tents 3 foot off the walkway?
I don't believe there is. There may be a few areas where the hill does complicate that matter, but it should be adjustable.
Okay, so that's a factor that we could plan in. Okay.
There's hills. The park's not level all the way across. I mean, just as off the sidewalk in some parts, it starts dipping down.
Yeah.
So the tent would be lopsided.
The point is 3 feet off the walkway is feasible. That's what I wanted to be clear.
I personally like the idea of 3 feet off, but I still favor a 1-way around the circumference of the park. Charlie, people are people. We know there'll be people that'll go the opposite way. But what we got to do is look out for the majority here. And I think you'll find if most people are walking in one direction, the others will follow. I do like Janet's suggestion, though, about 3 feet back. I feel a combination of 3 foot offset plus a unidirection around the park will greatly enhance the minimization of contamination. It'll help us with spacing. I think it's all positive. But, when you're dealing with the public, and you guys know this better than anybody, you're going to have some people that just don't follow the rules. Well, we can't control that. I'm sure Ken doesn't want to be out there policing everybody.
It won't be his job to control
Microphone.
Stay at the mic,
I'm
please.
sorry.
Yeah.
But, and we as managers of the park, I don't think it's our position or managers of the markets, we don't want to be in a position to confront people either. They're either going to do it or they're not. You know,
that's fine, but when you're having your market, there's not going to be anybody else to enforce it but you. And I'm not talking just about people attending there. I'm talking about your vendors.
No, enforce what, Charlie?
Enforce one-way rules?
Well, that won't be their responsibility. Their responsibility is
I'm talking about it's your responsibility. You run the market.
That's correct. And what we put down there is how we will run the market and keep it safe for both vendors and the patrons.
All right.
If I could address something, Charlie, in terms of what your concern. We're going to have signage at the two entranceways into the market and the exits, and we're going to have volunteers also, similar to what you do with the golf, having a ranger. My job is going to be, and my volunteers are going to be, to make sure that we have a proper flow, so that we're not policing it necessarily, but it will be a gentle persuasion, so that people are not offended, but there's going to be people who are going to keep it going.
Well, I don't think it'll be as big a problem if you're looking at 26 vendors. There's a lot of difference between 26 and 60 to 70. And while I'm talking about the number of vendors, we have people that use the park besides those going to the market. We have people who walk their dogs. They want to go sit in the swings. They just want to go for a walk. We had complaints last year from people that they couldn't take their morning walk on Thursdays. Well, you know, so one day a week it's an inconvenience. But, you know, here we're talking about under a different set of circumstances. I'm sorry to take so long, but these are the things I'm concerned with. Vendors are required to use hand sanitizer before and after each transaction. There's no way to make sure they do that.
Mr. Mayor?
One second, Jan. Let him finish up, and I'll get you next.
Okay.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Go ahead, Miss Harris.
You can stay at that microphone.
I think it's time we decide whether or not we have a consensus.
We just spoke of that consensus. We were just asking some questions in regards to that. We wanted
Right,
to
I
get these
understand
answered
that.
before we went to the next step, ma'am.
Right.
Okay? Can you give us a few more seconds, let the other guys, everybody, do you have any questions for them in regards to anything else that we haven't already discussed?
I think.
Ms.
I have
Harris?
questions.
I know that, but I was asking her, does she have any more?
Okay, sorry.
Do you have anything, Ms. Jan, to add?
No, I don't have anything more to add.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Corbett.
To start off, my biggest concern is how we can come to as close a rational accommodation to managing the markets that falls within the Phase 2 guidelines. We know there's more than 25 people who are going to show up, but we have a very large market. Okay, and so the way we could rationalize it is if we come up with a strong system of enforcing, not encouraging, enforcing the social distancing. And sort of as Charlie was pointing out, Councilman Nern was pointing out, that becomes a management problem. Our problem is easy. If we're uncomfortable with how you're managing, we close the markets. I mean, and we don't want to do that. I mean, we are fans of the market. I'm a fan of the market. I think most of us are fans of the market. So some of the things that come up, the spacing that both of you have talked about, I think is critical. I don't know the dimensions or how many that go in. I know that 26 vendors is a lot easier to do than 60 or 70 vendors. My thoughts would be, one, it has to be one way. Two, it should be on the outer circuit, as the Pure Market pointed out, of the park. And so your inner circuit cutoff would just enforce people crossing back over. That does the one way. Spacing of the tents, you've both addressed that. I think what would almost be required is to do a walk around the park and measure how many tents you can actually space, and that helps determine how many vendors you can get. So controlling the traffic flow, you mentioned volunteers. My thoughts, and because human nature, as we have seen so far, is they're going to do whatever they want to do. Okay, we want to hold the park. They're going to have to do what we tell them to do if they want to come to it. And so my thoughts are vested volunteers, so they clearly stand out, who are spaced, and a determination of how many people we would need. It's whether 1 per 5 tents, 1 per 10 tents or something, to keep the people and reminding them flowing. And the answer is very simple. You don't comply, we'll close the market. And we can close the market in the middle of a market. We don't want to do that. I mean, none of that. We all want to have the markets, but we want to be safe. And I think the one thing that I heard from all of the council members is keeping the social distancing and how to do that. I would think, and I'm not sure whether it's still there, things like a food truck and a music man would be attracting people into a group and getting this market started. Maybe if we see how it goes into the next phase, that could be something that could be added in. We can always reduce restrictions if the guidelines change and if people are complying with everything. You both have multiple exits. You would need to have multiple gate guards, you know, to go through and control it. And we would have to agree with that. The Councilwoman Harris brought up the bathrooms. I think our bathrooms are closed now, correct?
Correct. There's a portable toilet there.
And there's one.
There's one right now.
One portable toilet. You know, and before we had the public bathroom there, we had to use more portable toilets when we had the park. I forget how many were out there. Do you remember? Is it 3?
If I may.
Yes, please.
In the guidelines, in terms of our agreement, our contract with the town is that we would be responsible at the end of the day to number 1, provide supplies, and number 2 is to clean and have everything finished, you know, cleaned up at the end of the market.
And during the day?
And during the market, I mean, if we have to, I would leave it up to the town to make the determination. I know that you chose not to put the porta potties back onto the beach. It's up to you all. If you reopen the bathrooms, then I will make sure that they're maintained. If it can be done every 30 minutes, I don't think that's realistic, but we can have someone there. Certainly it happens in stores, you know, we can try and do something like that. That's if you all decide that you're going to open up the bathrooms. I think that's an easy thing to address, personally.
Or alternatively, they could pay for additional porta johns to be put out.
That's not in my budget, but
well,
because we're a nonprofit and we want to be able to give back to the local rescues. So
one thought I have is if we don't go back and add more restrooms or don't open them up, that may to some degree actually help the flow through, because people will be inclined to come through, see what they want to see, and get on with what they have planned, versus if there's those kinds of accommodations, people may hang around longer. Just a thought.
Well, it kind of didn't work when we didn't have bathrooms out there on the beach. You know, they still came. So and it was a problem.
Limited restroom capabilities may encourage congregation, and limited restroom facilities may encourage congregation closer than what we would be able to maintain social distancing standards for good health. If we do open the restrooms just for the special events, I believe that we probably should require that they be fully kept clean at least several times a day. I don't care what the interval is, but multiple times, and any complaints that we need to shut it down. Because, that's part of our problem here is, making sure that people are healthy and safe. And those are flat, hard surfaces. Those are already unclean facilities when you think about it's a public facility, public restroom. So there would need to be some type of control measure and inspection done after every event, would be my recommendation.
Yeah. So it'd be a difficult challenge for the managers.
Councilman Borman, I know you said you'd like to ask some questions.
I don't see how this will work in phase 2. I don't think that it's reasonable to say that we let it start, and if it's not going right, that we'll shut it down. That's going to be chaos, and it's going to be too late at that point anyway. I don't see how with 60 vendors that have at least one, probably more than one per vendor, attending, as well as people, we're already way outside of the 25 max that phase 2 is supposed to recommend. I just don't see how this is going to work in phase 2.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
One thing that confuses me about phase 2 is they have a maximum of 25 individuals in a given space. Well, is there a dimension that's mentioned about a given space? We could put 25 in this room. It'd be a lot closer than putting 25 over, say, at the beach or at the park. I think that's, I'd like to know if there is a definition of the size of an area that can accommodate 25, or if you double the area, can you put 50 in there? If you triple it, can you put 75? I think 25 is kind of too restrictive for a area the size of the park. I think that's very unrealistic.
I think what's happened is I read all the rules, is that has not been defined. And it's just defined as 25 people at an event. And
there are a lot of different events.
So the question becomes then, looking at that, and let's use your Monday market, since the numbers are a lot easier to play with. If you've got 24, 26 vendors, let's just say 24, and you use the space in the park, and you use your personnel who are going to manage control issues, and you divide it up into 6 4-vendor sections, each with the proper spacing there, a little bit of space in between, and somebody counting and keeping 25 to 25. Now that I have been accused of overthinking, but when you're trying to come out, how do you meet the rules? What are you going to have to do it? And if you will, that
Well,
would be one way to do it, but I don't see that as being a particularly attractive or manageable way to do things. Plus, the herd mentality of keeping the people all in that little,
So
four vendors and 21 other customers moving through a particular area. It's really complex.
Well,
So
I
the
think
point is, doing it in phase 2 is a very challenging issue.
I agree.
So
and I think it's very unrealistic to expect that, really.
Councilman Phillips.
if I can say something to read from a summary that was put out, make sure I have the right one. It says in phase 2, gatherings of more than 10 people in a single indoor space remains prohibited. In outdoor spaces, gatherings of more than 25 people are prohibited. These mass gathering limits include parades, fairs, festivals, auditoriums, stadiums, arenas, conference rooms, and meeting halls. So to go back to what Tom was saying, I think that in phase 2, in that summary that was put out by the governor's office, it does clearly list the things that we're concerned about.
If I may.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Number one, we're a retail venue. We realize that we're working within your event division, but basically this is a retail venue. And I think it's a matter of people coming in to shop. I think it's a matter of people coming in and out. I think the number of parking spaces, even though we added parking spaces last year, is going to naturally limit the number of people who come. I don't attend the Thursday market because it's a little claustrophobic for me, but they do a fabulous job and people will park everywhere. But if it's difficult to park someplace, they're not going to come necessarily, so it's just going to naturally edit the people who are going to be attending. But I think at bottom line is we're a retail venue, and being in an open air market is the best place mentally and physically to be than to be inside a building. And we've invited several of the different local merchants to participate as well. We've got one or two who are going to participate. So, we're very much an open market.
Well, we'd still be in violation of the governor's order. And,
well, we're not a gathering. So, I guess.
If I can speak on that real quick, that's correct, except for the fact that it's not their controlled area. The retail exemption is technically for your retail outlet. So you can limit therefore to 50% occupancy. We don't have occupancy numbers for the park. If y'all want us to establish one, and they can only let that many people into the park, but we can't stop other people from using the park because it's public trust money that helped create the park. So creating some type of limit to the number of people who can enter and exit the park gets into other issues. So I maintain that just because they are retail, it doesn't qualify under those numbers because they can't control the limit capacity of the space itself. Therefore, they have to fall under, in my opinion, a fair.
When does the governor possibly go into phase 3?
26th of June was the last estimate of when he may do that. There's been no real indication that he's going to change that at this time.
But it could possibly change.
Mr. Mayor,
It could go longer.
1 second, ma'am. It could go longer, but it also could go shorter if he wanted to.
If he wanted it to, yes, but he has not made any indication of making it shorter because our numbers aren't flattening in the state.
Yeah, numbers are going up.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
talking about our numbers in North Carolina, we're now considered a hot spot, and our numbers are escalating daily, exponentially. We're getting worse, not better, in North Carolina as a whole, and also in Brunswick County.
I'm sorry, is there?
Well, I thought one of them said something. Go
Jamie
ahead.
did.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councilman Phillips.
I didn't say anything. I was on mute.
Okay.
We can talk circles around this.
Yeah.
Until we're blue in the face. I don't know if you guys want to go ahead and establish something like I said before. The governor's left it up to municipalities to enforce these rules. So where it's allowed up to us to interpret those rules as well. So y'all can make your interpretation however y'all see fit.
it's evident, it's quite evident that the council's not gonna agree on anything today. We have a meeting on the 16th. Can we not add this to our deposition of directives to revisit this on the 16th in case something does change? Then if it don't, then that's gonna give us the next meeting, the July meeting, which we can change it to actually put it in effect the 26th if it was to change. But it's
You can put that date on your restriction. You can put that date on your restriction.
Okay.
You've got it through June 7th now.
Okay.
So you could take it out through the 16th.
Okay, it's obvious that I don't think the council's gonna come to a conclusion tonight to go with it. So if we put it off to the 16th, at least that will let y'all have time to let your vendors know a little bit more ahead of time, so I don't want you to be thinking it is and it's not, you know, and then we can maybe readdress it then.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair to y'all? I mean, I apologize, but everybody's trying to do the best we can do at this moment.
One other comment that goes into that, though, the governor's pattern, and that's all it is a pattern, has been that 3 to 4 days, you know, like the Tuesday or Wednesday in the week when his deadline is coming up, he announces what the next change is going to be. You know, we could work, particularly in our meeting on the 16th, refining a plan that would still anticipate restrictions from the governor. We have no idea what they would be, but if he's relaxing things, it would be reasonable to think that we would be in a better position to put the markets on, with an idea of looking at after the phase 2, so that potentially Monday the 29th and Thursday the 2nd of July, we could be in a position to open the markets. Again, that would be contingent on what the governor does or does not do, that we go through there. With that, I would say I still like the idea of perhaps refining your plan and the control measures, anticipating that if you come up with a tight plan and the governor leaves more leeway for relaxing, it's easier to modify and relax the plan a little bit.
I could not vote to say start the markets next week. I think waiting till the 16th and looking at it again. I know I asked some tough questions, but these are the questions the citizens expect me to ask.
Sure. So we understand that.
Thank you.
So what we can do then is go back to the drawing board, make some adjustments, maybe coordinate with the other market, see what we can come up with that would tighten things up a bit, be more to your liking, and then we'll see what the governor says. Like you said, John, if he relaxes it beyond what our restrictions are, well, then that'll give us a little bit of breathing room. And we're okay with that. So as for me, do appreciate you guys giving us the time tonight to hash this thing out. It's not an easy task. And we appreciate your conscientious effort. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the plan is we come back and discuss it again on the 16th?
Right, but we still have Ms. Joseph discuss Sunset at Sunset, and we still have the concerts to talk about on this item. I don't want to move on before we finish that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we want to finish today.
Who's next?
Karen out there. Ms. Joseph.
We should have put you on first.
Yeah. This comes under the best to last.
That's right. Actually, I think ours is simpler. I don't know. You'll tell me. Anyway, thank you for this opportunity to discuss Sunset at Sunset with you. As I indicated in my email of May 13th, After a discussion of the various parts of the festival, the committee feels we can organize the festival if work begins no later than August 1. As of last Thursday, we have received applications from 38 craft vendors, 9 nonprofit vendors, and 4 food vendors for a total of 51 participants at this time. We have contacted all of last year's 140 plus vendors, telling them that no final decision has been made, but as soon as one is, we will be in touch with them. As you know, the current guidelines from the governor would not allow our event to go forward. We, the committee, are waiting for his next set of guidelines. Clearly, if there is a limit on the number of people who are permitted to gather at an outdoor festival, the committee feels we must cancel rather than violate his directive. Now, if we are permitted to go forward, the committee feels we should change our booth configuration to meet the recommended 6-foot social distancing. Those of you who have come to the festival know that our booths are not right on top of each other. Mary Hughes, who is in charge of working with our vendors, has calculated that we could only have 97 vendors rather than the 140 plus we accommodated last year. As of today, we have contacted the vendors who provide us with our tents, tables, chairs, porta-johns, signs, entertainment, advertising, electrical work, and other minor products. We've indicated that we cannot sign any contracts or place any orders before August 1. They have all indicated that they can work with our deadline. I have done this because I do not want to make any financial commitments that I cannot recoup should we cancel this year's festival. Another factor that we must consider is the possibility of what is being called a fall wave of infections that might arrive in September or October. Should this happen, I believe vendors will drop out and will expect a refund of their application fee. At the same time, I doubt that people will attend a festival of this kind fearing being infected with the virus. Clearly, while we can separate the booths by 6 feet, it is impossible, despite the discussion you just had, to separate festival attendees by any amount of space, whether they are strolling through the venue or standing online to purchase items or food. Some legal issues are of great importance to my committee. I know that Sunset at Sunset is covered under the town's insurance because it is a town event. The committee is seeking an assurance that they as individuals are not open to any legal actions should a festival attendee or applicant claim they contracted the coronavirus at the festival. Can we legally require vendors to wear masks and gloves where needed? We don't know the answer to that. Are volunteers covered under the town's insurance policy as individuals? Finally, I have spoken with a representative of the Oyster Festival. As you know, Sunset at Sunset is the first major festival in this area beginning the first Saturday in October. What's her name? Susan Freeman. She was just here. I just met her. They are also, according to what she told me, awaiting the next set of guidelines from the governor before making a final decision. I am still waiting to hear back from the Holden Beach Merchants Association regarding their plans. I would like to answer any questions you might have, but more importantly, I would like to hear any thoughts or concerns you each might have regarding the festival. It is, after all, the major event in Sunset Beach. So,
Councilman Nerman, would you like to start?
Well, just like the markets, I definitely want to see the festival go on. I think you've laid out a very reasonable and understandable program. And I think, you know, it's like a lot of things are waiting to see what the governor says. So I can't see any better way to go about this. So thank you.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would certainly like to thank very much Mrs. Joseph and her committee. I think they do a fantastic job. I think that this Sunset at Sunset is one of the most important events that happens in Sunset Beach. It is a positive for our town, and I truly, truly, truly hope that it will be able to happen. But I also can sense the thoughtfulness in Ms. Joseph and her committee's response to the position this nation is going through, and I deeply appreciate it.
thank you.
Mr. Corbett?
I agree with what Councilwoman Harris has said. I think I'm happy that you set a deadline, that you don't have to act before that, the 1st of August. Question I have is there an alternative, an option to delaying a month or so to go to November? Would that be a viable course of action?
Oh, you mean delay the festival?
Yeah. I mean, not that we can make it an idea now, but,
Right.
you know, that we don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 months.
Right. The only concern that immediately comes to mind is the weather. If it's cold, you know.
A winter festival, an ice festival.
An ice festival, there you go. You know, I would take it to my committee and see what they say, you know.
Thank you for all the preparations. I think it's a good approach, good plan.
Thank you.
Mr. Councilman Borman, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I can't say any more than has been said already, except that thank you, Karen, for a well thought out approach to a very difficult challenge. I know it's difficult to plan something as big as Sunset at Sunset. And thank you very much for the planning that you and the planning committee has done. You've raised some very good questions, I think, that will need some answers as well. Some legal issues, liability questions. And I as well hope that this important festival does come about. I will have to wait and see what happens by August 1st.
Thank you, Tom.
Councilman Phillips, do you have anything you'd like to add, sir?
In the issue of brevity, I don't have anything to add, but I just want to agree with the comments from the other council members, and also thank Ms. Joseph for being willing to come out and state her case.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
We'll readdress it soon.
Concerts?
Concert series?
Yeah, I've already canceled the first one just to make sure that we didn't have to pay in anything. Plus, that vendor had already canceled their liability insurance, so they wouldn't technically be qualified to participate anyway.
Is there one that's actually scheduled after the 26th as of right now?
Well, after the 26th, yeah, the next, before the 26th.
I'm talking about right between there and our next meeting, between our July meeting and that.
I'm getting ready to give you the dates. Hang on. The first concert was supposed to be the 17th.
Yes.
So the 24th hasn't been canceled, and the 1st of July hasn't been canceled. So between the 16th and the first meeting in July, there'd be 2 concerts.
So the 24th one
would be before the
would
26th.
obviously need to be canceled.
Yeah.
How much notice? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think we should leave the option open for the July 1st at this point in time.
Okay.
We can address it on
I'm
the
also
16th.
planning on seeing if we can get these people to come back in late August if things have picked back up, or for us to be able to do that. So I'm trying to leave that as an open option, just to, instead of starting in June, start in July and then push through August.
What period of time do you need to cancel?
By contract, before 2 weeks, with cause, but I'd like to do it 3 weeks to be on the safe side. So that's why we went ahead and canceled the one for the 17th.
So you said that there's 2 more that we need to look at before that 3-week period to actually make sure that we get it right, correct? Is that what you said?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's one on the 24th. That's before the 26th. And if the governor doesn't lift,
Enough restrictions.
Yeah, so we would be behind the 8 ball on the first one. So we would have already sent the deposit.
Our meeting day is
16th.
June
No,
16th.
I'm talking about in July.
The 6th.
The 6th.
Yeah.
Do we not need to go ahead anything before then and go ahead and basically cancel with you having to have that 3-week period? It's not going to make a lot of sense. There's not going to be a 3-week period between the 26th and the next meeting.
Right. I would have the 2 weeks though by contract. I like a little bit of comfort, but it's up to y'all. I mean, right now I just know that we probably should cancel the 24th.
Yeah,
definitely.
Council Tom, Councilman Phillips, do either one of y'all have anything to do? Any suggestions or anything, questions or anything?
No, I think that's right. That the 24th wouldn't be possible, but we should wait and see what we can do for the one after that.
Yes, sir. Councilman Phillips?
I agree with the 24th, and then on the 16th, we can make a call about the 1st.
Yes.
Right.
Councilwoman Harris?
I agree with both Councilman
Okay.
Phillips and Borman.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Nern?
That's fine with
Fine with you?
I agree.
I know you. Okay. So with that being said, we will readdress on the 16th regarding the one coming up in July the 1st.
We can readdress probably the ones in July period, being contingent on the governor's order.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anything else to do
Special
with
events?
our special events? Okay.
Hope not.
Okay. So moving on, we'll go to our state of emergency discussion. If anybody's got anything to add or anything to suggest or any ideas, we'll bring them apart. Councilman Borman, I'll start with you this time. Do you have anything?
Just that I'm disappointed in the compliance with the walkways, and I know that that if some people had their way, that we would be making them 2 ways. I personally think we should leave it the way it is, and the people that are complying, my thanks to them, and the ones that refuse or that don't seem to know what's the right thing to do, hope that they can start complying, but I don't think that we should change it at this point.
Councilman Phillips?
I'm going to defer, with regard to the walkways. That'd be the one concern that kind of creeps up as far as things to address. I do want to thank Hiram for putting the staffing recommendations and policies he's putting in place to get them back in the office a little bit. Along those lines, I do think it's too early to have them back full-time, completely opened up to the public. That's just my stance on that.
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Harris?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Councilman Nern?
Well, the one way, I'm not trying to say I told you so, but I didn't think it would work. And the more people that violate it, the more people think that it's okay. And it's a sad fact that we have selfish people that think the rules don't apply to them. We got it. We have it there. We might as well keep it.
Councilman Corbett?
Well, I definitely think we should keep the walkways as one-way walkways. The people that are ignoring it are going to continue to ignore it. In my view, I am hearing more people saying, well, I told them that was one way. You know, so there is public awareness out there, and there are people complying, and it just, we happen to focus in on the ones that don't comply. I think we just should continue to encourage everybody to comply with the one-way walkways and recognize that it's an individual responsibility, and they are just hurting other people when they do not comply. So I don't think we need to. I don't think we have anything that we need to change at this point in time.
Town Administrator, do you have anything you want to add?
Other than that, Lisa would like y'all to make a motion pushing the special events back to June 16th to make it official on the state of emergency.
16th or 24th?
Y'all, we're going to discuss it again on the 16th for the markets.
We'll assess it again.
So you just want to go ahead and say the 24th or 26th is a...
The 26th.
I would say stop special events until the 26th, which is the right now projected into phase 2. And we will discuss contingency planning for what happens after that on the 16th.
That's fine, but just to update the proclamation.
Yeah.
With that being said, with what was just said about changing it to the 26th would be the date. We will readdress looking at the situation on the 16th, but as of now, all special events are canceled past the 26th.
Till the 26th.
Till the 26th, when the governor will make his new ruling. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris?
Aye.
Councilman Corbett?
Aye.
Councilman Borman?
Aye.
And Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
Okay. Now getting back to the state of emergency discussion, I think it's pretty much everything everybody said. It's basically just continuing with what we have now. Does anybody have anything else to add? We're just going to keep everything as the same as of this moment. We can readdress this on the 16th. We can put it on our directives to look at it again on the 16th. So going past that, we'll go to the next. We'll go to our new business, our recycling and seasonal trash collection contract. Mr. Marziano, our town administrator, you have this one?
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask Ms. Drop to step up and assist, but this is the contract for this year with GFL is up for renewal. This is for our seasonal collection only, not the regular pickup that your county taxes pay for. This is for our additional pickup for Island for Saturdays. This year we had them add in the recycling fees as well, so that hopefully they wouldn't be coming every 6 months to change them on us. So that what you're looking at is the summer trash collection and the additional recycle pickup plus the recycle pickup for the remainder of the year as well. So it's summer trash collection and all recycling, including the additional pickup or the change to Saturday pickup. So by the weekly pickup on that point. Anyway, sorry, there's a calendar that I made online. It makes it really easy to look at.
The island fee includes
and it's
summer
late.
pickup. Yeah.
Yeah. But the original, Tara's got the original fees from last year with her. I forgot to write them down, so.
Yeah, so, let's see. We have 604 for the mainland. So the current, what they're proposing is $72.48 per cart per year. And what we currently have is $64.92. And so, but our rates will be higher than that because we have to have our administration costs involved in it. It actually takes a lot of time and effort to get everybody started on it and manage it throughout the year. And then for the island, our current yearly amount is $87.72, and they're proposing $98.52 per year per cart. So even with the proposed amount, it would still be a savings once we add administration in, because it's up to like $140 for the mainland. And if they signed up on their own, that's a considerable savings for them. And they would not do a weekly pickup for recycling in the summer months on the island if it wasn't done through us. If they did it themselves, they would not have that option.
So this is, all of this is an individual owner's voluntary choice of whether to buy it or not.
Yeah, we just manage the program.
And you manage
if they
the
want
program.
to sign up and pay the amount that they can, we don't.
Okay.
It's not mandatory. It's just voluntary.
And this locks it in for 3 years.
The best we can tell from this
Yes,
contract, yes,
yeah.
it's a contract for 3 years. Now,
They could come back and ask us to modify.
yeah, they could come back and ask us to modify it. But looking at this, you remember this is our cost that they're giving us because we do the administrative fees. I mean, the administrative work. As Ms. Drops pointing out, that it may look like a lot for the recycling, but it's actually considerably less than they would charge themselves. But we're still going to charge more than this base fee ourselves to cover the administrative
cover our
part.
costs.
So anyone looking at this is our cost direct to GFL, but it's not the total actual cost of what it takes to operate the program.
Yeah.
So I just want to point that out, that that's a separate number that we would generate outside of this contract.
But as has been pointed out, one, it's voluntary, so you don't have to do it. Two, it's still a lot cheaper than the individual going directly to the recycling company to get recycling.
And
So-
three, the island would not have the extra service, like that have the accommodations part of that.
It would not be weekly.
They would not get weekly. It would be bi-weekly across the board. There would be no, I mean, they're charged an additional fee because of that right now.
Yeah.
And it's not a cost to the town, but if we didn't offer that, they wouldn't even have that option.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Harris, you have anything? Any questions?
I don't have anything. No.
Councilman Nern?
I'm fine.
Councilman Phillips?
I'm good.
Councilman Borman?
I'm fine too.
Councilman Corbett, you're fine. You have anything else?
I'm fine.
All right, with that being said, do I have a motion that, that we approve the Waste Industries GFL terms and authorize the town administrator to execute the Second Amendment and extension to solid waste collection contract?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Harris?
Aye.
Councilman Borman?
Aye.
Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
Councilman Corbett?
Aye.
Councilman Nerd?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, Tara.
Thank you, Ms. Tara. Moving on, our discussion of 95.08 pets on the beach strand. Councilman Borman, this is your agenda item,
Thanks.
so I'll let you take it over. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is about giving the residents of Sunset Beach a little bit more time on the beach for dog walking. As you probably know, the current regulations, which start on Memorial Day and go through to Labor Day, restrict the dog walking to before 8 in the morning and after 6 in the evening. I've had residents contact me who at first proposed that the town make the 40th Street walkway available to people who wanted to walk their dogs the West End on Bird Island for the full day. When I thought about that, I had some issues with the funneling of everything through the 40th Street walkway. There's already limited parking down there. Would create a real parking crunch. That walkway is an ADA walkway. So I didn't think that would serve the larger population of residents that were looking for a little bit more time to walk their dogs. So my proposal is that we allow a little more time in the morning and in the evening. So we change the times in the morning that they'd have to be off the beach by 9 o'clock, and that they could re-enter the beach again at 5 p.m. So we would change the ordinance to allow for that 1 hour on either end, in addition to what we have now.
Councilman Phillips? Would
I
you like
think
to have
that's a
any
reasonable
questions, any
request.
suggestions, sir? Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that's a reasonable request.
Councilman Nern?
I remember when those hours changed to what they are currently. Lisa, were you able to find any history?
It was just to get the dogs off the beach sooner than the beach users were getting there, and the dogs were running and.
Let me point out as well that we would certainly not be changing any of the leash regulations or the fact that they've got to pick up after their dogs, and all that stuff remains the same. So the only change is to the hours that I'm proposing.
I'd be willing to change the morning hours, but not so sure about the evening.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have any questions or anything to add or anything?
I support Councilman Borman's suggestions. I think it's a very good idea.
Councilman Corbett?
Well, I have a dog. I walk the dog on the beach, not too much in the summer because of the heat. And I really don't like the idea of changing the hours. But if we were going to change the hours, I'd be willing to change the morning hour to 9 a.m., but not the evening hour. As the summer heats up, the beachgoers stay much longer in the day than just 5 o'clock. And so I think 6 o'clock would be a reasonable time to keep. Even with the hours we have now, we still have people just relatively flagrantly ignore the hours when they can have the dogs on the beach, and 2, ignore the leash laws, and both of those bother me, and I don't like the. I've had enough people that I've talked to that are uncomfortable with more flexibility in terms of the times that dogs can be on the beach. But I think the changing it to 9 a.m. would be pretty workable because the beach doesn't get that crowded, the sun's not up. But I don't think we should change the 6 p.m. closure time.
And also with you saying that leash law, the times that I've been out here lately, it has not been followed good at all. There's lots of dogs that I'm seeing running around off leashes. I've had numerous emails from people where dogs have run up to them when they're walking their dogs, so that is a definite problem. I know it's something we can't micromanage, but we just need to stress that is the law and they need to follow that. But
yeah, I completely agree that the leash laws do get ignored and that they shouldn't be ignored. Councilman Corbett's suggestion that we leave the 6 p.m. I think the most important one is the morning. When you get on the beach in the morning to try and get off by 8 o'clock is sometimes a challenge depending on what time you start and how far you walk. The later to leave it at 6 p.m. I think you still have enough time to do as much walking as you want. The sun is still up until 8:30 at night, so I would go along with the 9 a.m. change.
We have to change the signs immediately?
Yes. The signs need to be updated whenever the ordinance went into effect. If y'all decide to make this change, we'll draft up an actual ordinance for you to adopt with a effective date as well.
With that being said, then, can we come to a compromise that we will look to changing it from 8 o'clock to 9 a.m. will be the time that the dogs need to be off, always with leashes on, no longer than 10 foot, and that it will continue to stay what is already up at 6 p.m. will be before you can put them back on there at night. With that being said, do I have a motion that we go in that
So
direction?
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Councilman Nern?
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris, I apologize.
Aye. That's all right.
Councilman Corbett?
Aye.
Councilman Borman?
Aye.
And Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
Thank you.
And we'll have that ordinance draft for your next meeting.
I'll sign off whenever.
Well, no, we'll have to.
Okay.
We have to make the ordinance you're able to actually vote on. That'll be at the next meeting.
That'll be fine. That'll be on the 16th.
Because we'll have to also establish a date at the time it's effective.
Okay, we're moving on now with our disposition of directives. And we already have the continuation of the events thing. We're going to discuss that on the 16th. The continuation of the state of emergency discussion on the 16th. And we'll be looking at maybe getting the ordinance on this dog thing on the 16th also. Anybody have anything else to add?
The budget ordinance?
We also have the budget.
Well, is it not on here?
Yeah.
It's already on here. I was
Yeah,
talking
just
about
make-
anything else to add
okay.
to this one, yeah.
Okay.
We also have the 2021 budget adoption consideration and an airboat ordinance consideration. All those are listed for the 16th. Anything else to add to the 16th or to future meeting as it's this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that's a plenty. I thought tonight would be a short meeting. So I believe we have a plenty on there for our next meeting.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Moving on next, if anybody got anything else.
Public comment.
I'm gonna go to the public comments, see if anyone's in the back. All right. I have a couple that's wrote in to be read. First up is Rosalie Rockefeller, 242 Clubhouse Road. Can a parking statement be distributed to the community and a letter to rental companies and owners as to beach parking? This past weekend was a nightmare of cars parking everywhere and anywhere, some leaving the island because they couldn't find free spaces. This is a hope, not a continuous issue, but could be, quite frankly. I'm not sure myself after seeing the creative parking of some.
Who was that?
That was a Rosalie Rockefeller, 242 Clubhouse Road. And next up is from Brian Hungerford. I don't see a physical address on here, but the waterways of Brunswick County certainly were busy this past weekend. A large variety of watercraft was out enjoying the wonderful weather and beauty. I am concerned the leadership of Sunset Beach will eliminate those privileges for airboat owners. As I have previously mentioned, I don't believe Sunset Beach has the authority to ban airboats. Based on my research, only the North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission, the General Assembly, or the federal government has the authority. North Carolina General Statutes, Chapter 75A, delegates waterway rules to the Commission, including types of activities and vessels for local waterways. The Commission can adopt rules after investigating the need of local waterways. Any subdivision of the state may, but only after public notice, make formal application to the Commission for rules on waters within the subdivision territorial limits. North Carolina is responsible for registration or licensed boats in the state. There is no state registration prohibited for airboats. There is no maximum noise level for motorboats in the state either, so any properly registered boat is allowed to utilize all state waterways. As long as the state is willing to permit and license airboat in the state, I don't believe a municipality has the authority to ban a class of craft without the state's help. Further, the intercoastal waterway is subject to federal jurisdiction according to the navigable servitude provisions of the United States Constitution, Article 7, Section 2, supremacy. If you are confident in your abilities to ban a type of craft, I would suggest contacting the U.S. Coast Guard Sector, North Carolina, to inform them of your plans and get feedback. Targeting one citizen and his choice of watercraft is a concern to me, particularly when many of the other sources are noiseful, or no, other source of noise in the community exist and have higher decibel noise readings than an airboat, including other watercraft with older two-stroke engines or large motors such as cigarette boats. Even if you pass an ordinance, I don't think you have the ability or jurisdiction to enforce it without from the state or federal government. Thank you for your time. Brian Hungerford.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just on that real quick, just because we keep getting a lot of emails about it and discussion on it. Legal counsel has reviewed the subject, and legal counsel has determined that we have the right to regulate airboats.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. Just with that being said, that's on the 16th, though. We'll go further into that with our legal, which was what we was waiting on to see what the legal said.
I just wanted to set it out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That being said, do we have anything else?
I move we adjourn.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Councilman Nern?
I think Charlie already did.
Councilman Borman?
Aye.
Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
I heard you, Councilwoman Harris.
Aye.
And Councilman
Aye.
Thank y'all all.
Night, y'all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
See if you can be